Information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. hairman.com/Howie.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love, and to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my...
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
We now have a president who talks like a centrist.
Just relax. Find your center.
But is governing from the far left. And we're not going to be able to just sit around here in a honeymoon period and watch these things happen. It's important everyone is aware of it, that's the direction it appears we're headed.
There's no earthly way of knowing singing which direction we are going.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Test assess, Rachel. I've been wanting to come on your show for months and months. You've been asking me to come on your show.
Get a room, you two.
Unchained and unstoppable.
President Biden is a big ice cream fan. So does that giant freezer full of ice cream really exist? I have not found it.
And you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
My name is Joe Biden and I love ice cream.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
He loves ice cream. That makes him a great guy. How many times has he melted our hearts talking about ice cream? What was that, E! Online? Of course, Donald Trump wants 2 scoops when he only gives the quote-unquote reporters from Time Magazine 1 scoop. He's the world's worst man. Let's impeach him again. Let's make it the third impeachment of Donald Trump. He only gave 1 scoop of ice cream to the reporters while he had 2. Anyway, 844-500-4242. Welcome to the Howie Carr Show. We got a lot planned for today, as always. And the first thing I should say is I went down to dinner at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday night with the mailroom manager and another couple. And I did see the president of the United States. I didn't speak to him, but when we walked in, he was in the lobby where he used to do those Sunday morning live shots with Face the Nation and the rest of them. And he was in there. He wasn't wearing a tie. He was wearing a white shirt. And he was with a couple of guys. It looked like he was on some kind of Zoom or Instagram or something like that, a call. He was talking. And I walked in, on my way to the dining room with everybody else. And he looked up and I waved to him and he waved to me. But he didn't call me over like he used to, I mean, I don't blame him. It's still a tough thing. This was his first Saturday night outside the White House. And I thought he might come down though for dinner to the dining room. It was a beautiful night. The weather's been beautiful down here. And his table was roped off the way it is when he comes down. It was a deuce to a 2 table. So I thought it would just be him and Melania, but he never came down. But again, I don't blame him for still being a little depressed. So Sunday, the next day, I go out to the beach club and I have lunch, and in the old days there used to be these planes flying by, like the planes flying by on every beach when the weather's nice, right? They're hauling the banner behind them, the little planes, 2 for 1 tonight at the Boca Ale House, or come watch the playoff games at the Dewdrop Inn, or 2 for 1 happy, one of those. So the plane, and I didn't see this, but because I had left by the time, but one of my neighbors was there and he saw it. The plane comes by, it's heading south towards Mar-a-Lago, about 2 miles south. The banner on the plane, it doesn't say, come watch the games at the Dewdrop Inn. It says, Donald Trump, worst president ever.
Very fake news.
Yeah, I mean, could they be any more petty, these people? What is the point of that? And the only reason whoever bought that, the only reason he has money to buy that stupid banner to try to embarrass the president is because the economy has been so good. And, Donald Trump, unlike Barack Obama, or it looks increasingly likely Joe Biden, didn't try to shut down anybody's First Amendment rights. He wouldn't have a problem with someone doing that. Anyway, so and then you saw what's going on at the White House. Joe Biden, the most religious Catholic, the most religious president of the last 50 years, according to the New York Times. Really? Okay, yeah. He's signing orders today making fourth trimester abortion legal. That means you can, it's like the Northam rule in Virginia. But he's devoutly religious. So yesterday, the motorcade goes down to the local Roman Catholic church nearest the White House, and as it's coming back, the motorcade pulls over to the side of the road. Did you see this story? You know why? Hunter had ordered takeout at the local deli, the bagel store. It had one of those cutesy names like "Call Your Mother." Like sometimes they have a liquor store, Bottle and Soul, something like that. This is one of these cutesy names, and it's owned by a big.
Was it the Crack Pipe Cafe?
Call Your Mother. That's what that was the name of it. Crack Pipe Cafe would have been a more appropriate name for Hunter Biden. And of course, they're all just still oohing and awing. Can you imagine if a motorcade with Donald Trump had ever been pulled over because Donald Trump Jr. wanted to get
How many tens of thousands of dollars is this costing in national security?
Yeah. What about it? This is a direct threat to the president of the United States. He is irresponsible. His children are irresponsible. Oh, aren't they great? They're just like any other family coming back from church.
Hunter, what flavor bagel did you get? Did you get onion or everything?
Yeah, do you get just regular cream cheese or cream cheese with chives? Oh, my God. Ugh. 339 says, shouldn't a more appropriate name for it call your mother? It should have been call your baby mama. Very good, 339. I guarantee you, we wouldn't have heard anything about it if it had been the call your baby mama deli that they stopped at for bagels. All right. Oh, and there was a lid put down. When was the last time that Donald Trump ever put a lid on the White House? I'm not going to be tweeting. I'm not going to be making comments. That we're not going to do anything for 24 hours or 12 hours. Biden is in for 3 days, and they put a lid down. They put the lid down. He's not going to say anything. It won't be the last time, will it? 844-500-4242. 508 says, Joe and Hunter Biden are like Sheriff Buford T. Justice and Jr. I think Hunter is a little more sinister figure than Junior Justice. You remember that? There's this from Smokey and the Bandit he's talking about, one of the great movies of the 70s. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. And 603 says, is Nancy Pelosi's favorite ice cream flavor impeachment? Yeah, exactly.
There's no way that you could come from my loins.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's ever said that either. I mean, I know Joe is a teetotaler and the Hunter is, well, not. But they seem very similar, actually, in terms of their sticky fingers, for one thing, among other things, and their tendency for their sticky fingers to end up in the wrong places, if you know what I mean, too. And I don't mean accepting 2.8 carat diamonds from Chinese oligarchs or moguls who have since disappeared. 603. Finally, the media reports on Hunter at last. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll bet if Donald Jr. or Eric had the same kind of track record as Hunter Biden, they would be saying it's a security risk for him to be living in the White House. What if he brings in one of those drug dealers? What if he brings in a stripper? You know, Joe's pretty old. What if he bumps into the brass pole in Hunter's bedroom? But it's a different world now. We've had a return to normalcy. Yeah, return to normalcy. Now the Indians are angry at Joe Biden. The Utes, not the Utes like the ones who mugged that guy. 20-on-1 is Democrat fun in Lower Manhattan. These are the UTE Indians. They have apparently a lot of oil and gas leases, which are now out the window. And the state of New Mexico, a predominantly Democrat state, apparently 40% of the state revenue is from these oil and gas leases on public land, which have now been at least a temporary halt put to. So they're kind of angry, not to mention Marty Walsh's labor union, the laborers, the pipe fitters, all these unions. But they, you know what? The state of New Mexico, the Ute Indians, the pipe fitters, the laborers, they all should have seen it coming. We saw it coming. They should have seen it coming. They either weren't paying attention or they just thought somehow that we'll be exempted. When everybody else gets screwed, all the deplorables, they'll leave us alone. That's not the good reading of history. That's not the right way to read it. In the end, the revolution comes for everybody.
What is a Ute?
The what? Excuse me? Okay.
What is a Ute?
It's an Indian. You know, like Elizabeth Warren, like Ward Churchill. An Indian, a Ute. 844-500-4242. We'll take some calls when we come back. Again, we got a lot of stuff to get through here. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here, chumps. More Howie Carr after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Floramo's Restaurant in Chelsea, where the meat falls off the bone. Stop in today for their famous baby back ribs and so much more. It's a new year and time for a new you. DiStefano Hair Restoration changed my life, and they can change yours too. My production director said when he saw a recent pic of me that you look great, like Benjamin Button. You're getting younger. That's quite the compliment, and I owe it to DiStefano Hair Restoration and Dr. Chris Hines. Many wait years before they get the hair restoration they deserve. Stop waiting and just get it done. You won't regret it, and you'll ask yourself, why did you wait so long? You can see my before and after photo shoot on their site at hairman.com. Hairman.com. DiStefano Hair Restoration is taking all the necessary precautions to keep you safe during your visit. You do something so I can get this down. They also offer virtual consultations. Go to hairman.com today and schedule your free consultation and get that hair you deserve and always wanted. Dr. Hines took care of me, and he'll take care of you too. Visit them today at hairman.com. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Thank you.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaps anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president of the next senator. I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate. Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean. Look, tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon. We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920, not 2020.
We're not just going to let you walk out of here. Who's we, sucker? Smith, and Wesson, and me.
The Howie Carr Show.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. There was a very heartwarming, believe it or not, story in the New York Post over the weekend about this guy. He's a pest control professional. He was in Brooklyn. Now he lives in Philadelphia, and he worked for this company. And they gave him a dog that could sniff out pests like bed bugs.
A beautiful dog. A talented dog.
It was a dog named Roxy, and they trained supposedly it cost $15,000 to train Roxy and to buy her from a place in Florida. And she's part pit bull, just kind of a mutt-looking dog, but it's a cute little dog. The dog's 4 years old, so its master or its keeper was a guy named Barry Myrick, and so he loved this dog, Roxy. And he and his wife, he's in his late 30s. They decided not to have kids, so he says Roxy is his kid, and so he got laid off from the pest control company when the panic came. And so he decided he would keep Roxy, and the company wanted the pest control company wanted Roxy back, and so they sued him, and he actually got thrown in jail, and for 15 hours. He said, "I spent 15 hours in jail. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. The stories I heard were unreal. Someone beat their stepdad with a baseball bat. I couldn't tell anyone I was there for a puppy." Remind you of anything, folks? Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie. You know, when they throw him in jail.
Moved away from me on the bench.
Yeah, there was mother rapers in there. There was father rapers in there. And then I told them I threw some garbage. Well, this is exactly what it sounds like. I was in there. I was protecting the right to own my puppy.
He does have a man bun.
He does, but I feel bad for the guy. I really feel bad for him. And he says, loved ones have tried to convince him to walk away. My family said, give the dog back, you'll get another one. But I've emptied out my bank account, spent time in jail. What else can they throw at me? I'll fight this to the end. She's not a golden retriever who'll be happy-go-lucky with anyone else. She has eyes for no one else. He loves that dog. So what's today's poll question is brought to you by the Eden Pure thunderstorm. I'm holding it in my hand right now. BOGO is back for this week only. Buy one Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier and get one free. I got one in both of my hands. To order, go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Would you go to jail for 15 hours to keep your dog?
Maybe not 15 days, but I think 15 hours I go for Mr. Gooner. Yeah.
15 days, that's not a lot. I'd do 15 days for a dog.
I don't know about that. That's a lot. Time does not pass quickly when you're in stir.
15 months? No, absolutely not. 2 weeks I could do. 67% say they'd do 15 hours.
Yeah, I think that's what people could do. I don't think I am. Unfortunately, though, after reading this story in the New York Post, I think the guy's going to lose in the end. Don't you? I mean, it's just it looks like the law is on the company side, or he's going to have to pay him back $15,000. I don't think he's got $15,000 for the cost of training the dog.
I'm sure there's a GoFundMe to be had.
You know what? That's true. I'm surprised. Actually, when you think about it, Taylor, I'm surprised they haven't set up one already. I'm surprised there wasn't an address on the or a mention of it in the story. 844-500-4242 339. Was Roxy a pug? No, Roxy was not a pug. Roxy looks like she might have a little Boston Terrier in her, but it's a cute little dog. But you care about your dog. It doesn't matter, what breed they are or purebred mutt. It's just your dog, right? And Roxy is Myrick's dog. 844-500-4242. Russ, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Russ.
Howie, how are you today?
Good.
Hey, I called about the pandemic, a couple of new developments, as you're aware of, and I heard in Grace's show today. First of all, Biden says there's really nothing we can do.
Right. He said he had a plan. Yeah. Did you see the tweet in October? I have a plan. Nixon said he had a plan, a secret plan to end the war in Vietnam in '68. Turned out he didn't have a plan either.
Right. And so I guess that means he will not be held responsible for all the deaths that occurred after his inauguration. So that's a good thing.
Right. Did you also see, Russ, that they said, well, what about this 100 million people are going to get the vaccine? And Fauci said, well, you can't really say 100 million. That was a misstatement because a lot of people have got to get 2 shots. So it's really only 67 million people. So they're backing away from everything, Russ.
Hey, the other thing is the lockdowns. We had to be locked down. They had to destroy the economy. They had to destroy it. And they were only doing it, obviously, because they wanted Trump out. Because now that Joe's in, now the lockdowns are being lifted mysteriously all over. Even Parker is lifting the bans, the
right.
overnight curfews. It's so obvious what they do.
Gavin Newsom in California, it has the fact that he's lifting the lockdown and letting restaurants open up to 50%. That has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that they've got 1.1 million of the 1.5 million signatures they need to recall him in an election. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do, he's following the science. He's following the data. But it seems like there's a schism in the religion, the mask of the cult. There's certain people want to say, Trump's gone, emergency's over, we can move on, go back to our other religion of climate change. And then you have the sort of the hardliners, the people who want to worship the new mutant variation, B117, in the name of the Father and the Son, and the mutant variation B117. We wear our masks. Amen. I'm Howie Carr.
So, Howie, there is a GoFundMe.
There is a GoFundMe? How much has he got?
It started early in July of last year, but it didn't get much attention. But now that it's in the news, it's got almost 15 grand in it.
Oh, good. So he'll be able to keep Roxy.
Looks
good.
Like it.
Good. Wing and manufacture.
You're telling me you wouldn't do 15 days to keep Gooner and Pearl?
15 days is a long time.
Just a little over 2 weeks.
Would they do that for me?
I don't know. I don't know if I could I don't know if I could really live with myself if I knew that I could keep my dog if I just did 2 weeks. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. I think you got to be in jail to know how bad it is. And I say that as someone who's never been in jail.
No comment. I'm going to take the fifth on that one.
And now a namaste moment with Chris Cuomo.
Hope with me that today Dr. King's example inspires the many striving for better and enlightens the toxic few determined to be their worst.
You're gonna have a problem. What are you gonna do about it? I'll ruin you. I'll throw you down these stairs like a punk.
We could not have a better reminder that you can't kill an idea with violence.
And I don't want some jackass, loser, fat tire biker to be able to pull over and get in my face and in my space.
And that violence can be used as a refuge for those coming from a place of animus and ignorance.
What's the best way to handle it? You just ignore it.
Naked choke?
No, just ignore
Punch
it.
to the sternum. As Dr. King taught us, darkness can only be removed by the light of truth. And love is the ultimate form of truth.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/
all the participants in tonight's event. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work. We will reclaim our credibility. The pandemic, we need all our strength to persevere. Rural versus urban. America built of decency. I took it to instill public confidence in the vaccine. President-elect Harris took hers today for the same reason. Everybody is entitled to be treated with decency. All my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here. James Joyce was said to have told a friend, I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed at night staring at the ceiling. Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. Come on, give me a break, man. I'm the Vice President of the United States.
Love him or hate him, Joe Biden's here for the long haul, but we can't get enough of his gaffes. Here's the best of Uncle Joe's speaking before he thinks.
We choose truth over facts. When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Okay, look, all right. Look, you can frack with me later, okay? The teachers are Raycon. I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. I can tell you, and I've known 8 presidents. 3 of the minimum. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me. Had over 40 kids shot at Kent State on a beautiful lawn. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont in terms of the beauty of it? I said something that was not meant the way I said. I mean, what is it that I said wrong? I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. 603 says Kevin Weeks couldn't do 15 days. That was Whitey's gravedigger. 2 weeks. I named him because that's how long he stood up. 2 weeks. It was a better nickname than Fortnite. especially since his last name was Weeks. And 339 says, I don't know if I'd do 15 days to keep my wife. Oh, no, I'm in trouble now. Taylor checked, though, there is a GoFundMe page for this guy to keep Roxy, and it's raised about $15,000. That's how much the company says they spent on Roxy over the years. So
I mean, I would try to do 2 weeks, Howie, but I just don't think I'd survive. Like, my heart would be in the right place, but I just wouldn't be able to come out of that.
Survive? What's so tough about it?
Hey,
Eat
Taylor,
some
you're
lousy food.
That's not what prison is. Prison is not what you think. It's not like, oh, I'll just mind my own business and they'll leave me alone. No, Taylor, they're going to see you. You're going to be singing your Sinatra. They're going to come after you.
In what way, Grace?
Plus, it's like
you got to be tough.
It's like the guy said. He's just. They throw you in there. I mean, they're not treating him like he's not going to Supermax like the Joker. I mean, they're just going to throw him in there with a bunch of drunks and people who are beating their stepfathers with baseball bats.
Yeah,
and people choking chickens, and all the talk to people who've been in the can and ask them if they think if they'd be willing to do 15 days. I don't know.
I think it's a lot scarier than people probably imagine. And they want to start fights. That's all I mean. It's like they're looking to fight.
All right, Grace, it's time for Grace's news.
Yes, indeed. A lot of news to get to, Howie. I wanted to start with some good news. Actually, 2 pieces of good news. One, Kristen Sinema breaks hearts with this news that she will not even consider talking about voting to nuke the filibuster. A lot of people thought maybe that once Joe Biden became president, she would change her mind.
That's great news.
Yeah, it came out today. This is her spokesperson. Kristen is against eliminating the filibuster, and she is not open to changing her mind about eliminating the filibuster.
Some of the real lunatics on the left are saying, well, maybe Schumer could say we won't kill the filibuster, Mitch, if you can bring us 17 Republican senators to vote to convict Donald Trump. I thought that was a 1,000 or 1,000,000 to 1 shot anyway. But that's good. That's good news. That's good news. We got to stop statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico next, and we got to save the Electoral College.
Kristen Sinema is funny. She is she's an individual for sure. I mean, even during the State of the Unions, when no one on her side would stand up and clap, if she liked something, she would stand up and clap. I give her credit for that. She's not afraid of the mob or the far left of her party. She does what she wants to do, which is saying a lot nowadays for being a Democrat.
I already missed Tulsi Gabbard. She's talking about how these Democrats want to shut down the Trump people and they're against the First Amendment. And she filed that legislation at the end of the session to protect women's sports. It's really a shame she's gone for many reasons.
Yeah, but I mean, I hate to say this, Howie, but there's a lot of stuff she could have said when she was running for president. She got kind of tough afterwards, but she wasn't saying all this when she was running. She was backtracking on a lot of her positions.
Yeah, but she would still go on Tucker Carlson's show and she'd say, we shouldn't talk about shutting down the First Amendment. She was the only Democrat a year ago that would say that. I mean, the First Amendment has been on the table for these people for 5 years now, at least 5 years.
No, you're right. You're right. In other good news, GOP Senator Rob Portman announces he will not run again in 2022. He's an Ohio senator. And how, you know why he's not going to run?
Wants to spend more time with his dog named Roxy?
No, it's too hard to break through the partisan gridlock and make progress on policies.
Yawn.
In other words, he knows.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Rob.
He knows he's got no shot. These are all people who are, I like to say, they're flaking out like Jeff Flake. So that's good news.
508, by the way, says if Leahy presided over the impeachment, is he allowed to vote? Well, that's a good point. I mean, he's the judge, right? And by the way, Leahy is not quite as far gone as Biden, but he's getting there.
Yeah,
he's another one. I mean, I can't. They're going to have someone whispering in his ear, and I don't mean salute the Marines.
Oh, listening to him question Brett Kavanaugh, that was painful.
Yeah.
He gets so close to the mic, it's like he's about to eat it.
Right. And he is really slur. He slurs his words more.
Yep.
Biden can't read a teleprompter, but Leahy just slurs everything he says.
Howie, I saw George Stephanopoulos or someone today from ABC tweeted, Joe Biden's having his first press conference at 3:45. This is what they're going to do now. Every time he has a press conference, it's going to be celebrated. Like, it's so brave of him to take questions from the press. I'm wondering if he's going to have a list like he did during the campaign where he says, ABC Mary, do you want to go next? Really pathetic. Speaking of Donald Trump, though, his advisor says the former president is not currently considering launching a third party. Howie, I think this is great news. I don't know about you, but I'd prefer them to just primary all these rhinos rather than start a third party. It just weakens everything if you do that.
Right. It just, again, I mean, look around the country, including Massachusetts. Libertarians, you have a third party libertarian. They've cost the Republicans a number of seats in Congress. You know, and the third party, you could make the argument that Nader cost Al Gore the presidency. Thank God. But it did. I mean, it split the votes.
You know what I always say?
What?
Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And that's what the libertarians do a lot of the time. They're
right,
so
but now John Brennan, James Brennan, excuse me. Is it James or John? I can never. He's a communist Brennan.
It's John Brennan, I think.
Communist Brennan says that the libertarians may be involved in this plot, this sedacious plot, this insurrection.
He has managed to get away with so much, Brennan, and all he does is get on TV. There was a period of time when Barr came into the picture that I thought maybe he was getting nervous, like the walls were closing in. But man, that guy is just skated, and he has so many skeletons in his closet, but they never come up.
Yeah, well, our friend, you've had him on the show, and I've had him on the show. David Harsani. He had a great column today, and this is the lead of it. Every time former CIA Director John Brennan appears on cable news to warn about some new insidious threat to democracy, I am reminded again how much he deserves to be in federal prison.
It's so true.
He's the one who should be in prison, not Roxy's owner, you know?
We do that poll question a lot, or we did it a lot during Spygate and, all those stories. We would say, who would you most like to see actually go to prison? And it was, James Comey, Jim Clapper, John Brennan. It was a lot of those people. My number one was always John Brennan because he's just so verbose and obnoxious, and he gets on TV and he protests too much, Howie, as they say.
978 has a good point. Libertarians cost Republicans the Senate. I'd forgotten this. If no Libertarian candidate, Perdue in Georgia, would have broken 50%, he only missed it by a few thousand votes and avoided the runoff.
Very true.
Against John Ossoff, as Biden calls him. Oh, everyone else calls him Ossoff, but Joe calls him Ossoff.
Guys, Grace's News is brought to you by HelloFresh. Take advantage of HelloFresh's New Year sale and get simple recipes and fresh, pre-portioned ingredients delivered to your door, contact-free. Everyone's trying to do a lot of New Year's diets and things like that, and you can still eat great. And it's easier if you can cook your meals, know they're healthy, and know they're all pre-portioned so you're not going to waste anything or overeat. Right now, get 10 free meals, including free shipping during HelloFresh's New Year sale with code Howie10 at HelloFresh.com. That's code Howie10 at HelloFresh.com. Howie, really quickly here before I hand it back over to you, did you hear the latest about Armie Hammer? There's an update on the cannibal man. I don't know what we're calling him now.
I saw a headline and I didn't even read it. What is the latest?
Another woman has emerged, and she's a 22-year-old college student who dated him, and she says they would engage in knife play, during which he would cut off her underwear or bra using a knife. And at one point, he carved the letter A on her body. This guy is a sick puppy, allegedly. He's an alleged sick puppy.
An alleged sick puppy. Okay, Grace, can we wrap up a little early here today and go to the Biden presser?
Oh yeah, of course. And everyone, make sure you go to fallensbn.com and check out the deal. I'll be there February 19th, and I want to see you guys there.
All right, let's pick up a little bit. Are we going to join it? Has he been asked the ice cream question yet, or what kind of bagel he had?
Government procurement to keep the country going safe and secure. And there's a law that's been in the books for almost a century now to make sure that money was spent, taxpayers' dollars for procurement, is spent to support American jobs and American businesses. But the previous administration didn't take it seriously enough. Federal agencies waived the Buy American requirement without much pushback at all. Big corporations and special interests have long fought for loopholes to redirect American taxpayers' dollars to foreign companies for the products that are being made. The result, tens of billions of American taxpayers' dollars supporting foreign jobs and foreign industries. In 2018 alone, the department spent $3 billion, the Defense Department, on foreign construction contracts, leaving American steel and iron out in the cold.
How much is the Keystone XL pipeline shutdown going to cost?
And on vehicles instead of buying American vehicles and engines from American companies, putting Americans to work. Under the previous administration, the federal government contract awarded directly to foreign companies went up 30%. That is going to change on our watch. Today, I'm taking the first steps in my larger Build Back Better
China won't control our economy.
Invest in American workers, unions, and businesses up and down the supply chain. And I know the previous presidents entered office by promising to buy America and instituting Buy American policy. But here's why this is different and not the same. I'll be signing an executive order in just a moment, tightening the existing Buy American policies and go further. We're setting clear directives and clear explanations. We're going to go to the core issue with a centralized, coordinated effort. Look, today, I'm creating a director of Made in America at the White House Office of Management and Budget, who will oversee our All of Government Made in America initiative. That starts with stopping federal agencies from waiving Buy American requirements with impunity, has been going on. If an agency wants to issue a waiver to say we're not going to buy an American product as part of this project, we're going to buy a foreign product, they have to come to the White House and explain it to us. We're going to require that waivers be publicly posted. That is,
I've heard
so-and-so seeking a waiver.
More mush from the wimp. Great news. The Gen 40 heater is back and just in time for the really cold temperatures. Oil prices are going to go up. The Keystone XL pipeline has been stopped. Joe Biden didn't talk about that today, but it has been stopped. 35 million gallons of oil a day that were in the pipeline are gone now. There's a new moratorium on fracking on federal land. That means natural gas. It was 10 degrees in parts of New England this past weekend. You need to start planning, and that means you need the Gen 40 heater, which I'm holding up in my hand right now. That's how light it is. Robert from the Cape says the Gen 40 performs like no other heater I've ever used. It is remarkable, right, Taylor?
It is. We use it exclusively in the baby's room. We turned it on at night just before he goes to bed. It keeps him warm and toasty all through the night. There's no problems. I don't have to worry about anything tipping over or catching fire or anything like that. The baby is safe in there. He's nice and snug and warm, and he loves the Gen 40 heater as much as his parents do.
The Eden Pure Gen 40 makes you feel warmer than your furnace, and it also costs less to run. You may be working from home now, and you will need to pay close attention to the heating bills. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $50 off. These deals are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com. I'm Howie Carr.
Born in Maine, made in Massachusetts.
You want the presser here?
Yeah, let me listen.
We have to rely on a foreign country that doesn't share our interest in order to protect our people during a national emergency. We need to make our own protective equipment, essential products and supplies. And we'll work with our allies to make sure they have resilient supply chains as well. We'll also make historic investments in research and development, hundreds of billions of dollars, to sharpen America's innovative edge in markets where global leadership is up for grabs. Markets like battery technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, clean energy. The federal government also owns an enormous fleet of vehicles, which we're going to replace with clean electric vehicles made right here in America by American workers, creating millions of jobs, 1 million auto worker jobs in clean energy and vehicles that are net zero emissions. And together, This will be the largest mobilization of public investment in procurement, infrastructure, and R&D since World War II. And with the executive order I'll be signing today, we'll increase Buy American requirements for these kinds of projects and improve the way we measure domestic content requirements. For example, right now, if you manufacture a vehicle for the federal government, you need to show that at least 50% of the components of that vehicle were made in America. But because of loopholes that have been expanded over time, you can count the least valuable possible parts as part of that 50% to say, while the most valuable parts, the engines, the steel, the glass, are manufactured abroad. So basically, we're batting 0 for 2. The content threshold of 50% aren't high enough. And the way we measure the content doesn't account for U.S. jobs and economic activity. We're going to change that as well. The executive action I'm signing today will not only require that companies make more of their components in America, but that the value of those components is contributing to our economy, measured by things like a number of American jobs created and or supported. At the same time, we'll be committed to working with our trading partners to modernize national trade rules, including those relating to government procurement, to make sure we can all use our taxpayer dollars to spur investment that promotes growth and resilient supply chains. And here's what else the action does. When we buy America, we'll buy from all of America. That includes communities that have historically been left out of government procurement. Black, brown, Native Americans, small businesses and entrepreneurs in every region of the country. We will use a national network of manufacturers called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership that's in all 50 states and Puerto Rico to help government agencies connect with new domestic suppliers across the country. This is a critical.
You could open it up.
I want to do my share of the work.
Howie Carr is back.
I was listening to Dementia Joe during the break. He doesn't even know what he's saying. He's just reading and stumbling and bumbling. We're going to have battery technology. Oh, that's great. Battery technology. And clean energy vehicles are going to replace everything in the federal fleet of vehicles. Clean energy. That means coal-fired.
There's a new thing this fellow named Edison came out with.
Yeah.
Really innovative.
They don't use coal-fired plants anymore. They use natural gas. They get it from fracking. You know the thing I'm going to end? Or is today the day I end fracking or not the day I end fracking? I better check with President Harris.
I was talking with my buddy Nikola Tesla the other day.
Yikes. You think they're going to ask him, Mr. President, are you going to condemn the rioting in Portland and Tacoma and the West Coast? No, no one's going to ask him that question. What was the sermon at Mass yesterday about, Mr. President? Do you recall? I didn't think so. Anyway.
He went to sign it and Fox cut out.
Yeah, he went to sign it and Fox, it's gone. It's over. 844-500-4242, Biden's fossil fuel freeze. Any doubt that the Biden administration plans to slowly regulate fossil fuels out of existence vanished this week. It just vanished right now when they said they're going to replace all the internal combustion vehicles on the federal fleet. First came the Keystone XL pipeline, but perhaps more significant is the 60-day freeze on new leases on federal lands and bureaucratic permitting. That pause could become a long-term ban. This is the Wall Street Journal on Saturday. Federal lands account for about 22% of U.S. oil production, 12% of natural gas, 40% of coal. Drilling and exploration shifted to private land during the Obama administration. Now the Biden administration may shut that down too.
He is taking questions.
Oh, he is taking questions. Okay, Okay, let's hear. Let's hear.
Make school classrooms safe and secure for the students, for the teachers, and for the help that's in those schools maintaining the facilities.
Lifting that pen was
We
hard
need
work.
new ventilation systems in those
He
schools.
seems to be out of breath from lifting the pen.
For people coming in and out of the classes. We need testing for teachers as well as students. And we need the capacity to know that, in fact, the circumstance in the school is safe and secure for everyone.
The circumstance
For
is safe.
example, there's no reason why the clear guidance will be that every school should be thoroughly sanitized. From the laboratories to the hallways.
Why didn't we think
of that? And so this is about making, and none of the school districts that I'm aware of, there may be some public school districts, have insisted that all those pieces be in place. And I might add, it's the same kind of thing I hope we can do with small businesses and businesses, making sure they have the capacity to test their workers when they come in, to make sure they have plastic dividers between their booths and in their restaurants, etc., to make sure they can sanitize. So it's not so much about the idea teachers.
Yeah, there's no sanitizing going on
work.
right now in the United States of America.
They just want to work in a safe environment and as safe as we can rationally make it, and we can do that. And we should be able to open up every school, kindergarten through 8th grade, if in fact we administer these tests. And it'll have the added advantage, I might add, of putting millions of people back to work. All those mothers and fathers that are home taking care of their children rather than go to work even when they can work. They're not able to do it unless they have the luxury of working distance-wise like many of us do. They're not able to do it. And so this is about generating economic growth overall as well.
Great. Alex from Reuters.
They are doing it by name.
They are doing it by name.
Thank you,
When
Mr.
is ABC
President.
Mary going to get a
Alex Alper
chance?
from Reuters. I wanted to ask a question about
Reuters.
Navalny. If you are considering imposing sanctions on any of the individuals involved in his attempted
In his attempted what?
return.
Poisoning.
Oh, Putin. 844-500-4242. Lord. Do 8th graders have a truce with the virus where 9th graders will be stricken dead? Yeah, that was weird. Kindergarten through the 8th grade. What about high school? Does he even know what it is? I'm Howie Carr.
Like most companies, we here at Matthews Brothers are
For me on every one of those issues to update me precisely where they are, and I will not hesitate to raise those issues with the Russians.
Jeff from NBC.
President Biden, Vice President Harris. A question about your COVID relief deal. On Friday, you said the nation is in a national emergency. We should act like it. Given the scale and the severity of the need, how long are you willing to get sufficient Republican support before you would greenlight Democrat attempts to use reconciliation, for instance, to pass that bill?
Well, look, the decision on reconciliation will be one made by the leaders of the House and the Senate. But here's the deal. I have been doing legislative negotiations for a large part of my life. I know how the system works. And what I'm not, can't guarantee anything at all, but I can say that what I'm going to be doing, and we've already begun, is making it clear to the leadership in the House and the Senate, as well as the group of 16, group of bipartisan group, as well as Republican individuals who have an interest in the issues that are in my package, and saying, here's what I'm doing, here's why I want to do it, here's why I think we need to do it, and what kind of support can or can't you give to that? And then we go on to the way in which we deal with legislation all the time. You know, we didn't have any votes for the recovery package when Barack and I came into office. We were short 3 votes. We didn't know we had the votes until the day of bringing it up. And but here's the deal, you know. It's interesting, and I know you ask a lot of these questions, you know the answers, but you have to help educate the public as well. I'm not suggesting you don't know what I'm about to say. no one wants to give up on their position until there's no other alternative. They have to make a decision that they don't do they don't support what is being proposed, or they insist on what they have, or they let it all go away, fall down. I think we're far from that point right now. The decision to use reconciliation will depend upon how these
This is a really excellent answer,
about
Taylor, in case you're not listening.
negotiations. I've always believed part of negotiation.
Would you say, Howie?
I said this is really this is
a chairman
this
of
is
a committee trying
mind-bending.
to get a major
This
piece of
answer.
legislation passed is about
Yeah,
consultation.
you can't stay on message.
It's not enough for me just to come up to you and say, I like this, I expect you to support it. I want to explain to you why I think it's so important in this package that we have to provide for money for additional vaccines. Why I think it's so important, why we provide for money to extend unemployment benefits, why I think it's so important that we provide money to provide for the ability of people not to be thrown out of their apartments during this pandemic because they can't afford their rent. And to make the case to you why I think and what I think the priorities within this piece that we think the priorities are, I apologize, were within this legislation. And I don't expect we'll know whether we have an agreement and to what extent the entire package will be able to pass or not pass until we get right down to the very end of this process, which will be probably in a couple of weeks. But the point is, this is just a process beginning.
Annie from Washington Post. Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Annie Linsky with the Washington Post.
Oh my God.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about one of the sort of major themes of your campaign and how you sort of intend to measure and enact it, and that is the idea of unity. If you could talk a little bit about what you see unity as being. There are some people who are defining it as being bipartisan. Others are saying it is what most of the people in the country, defined by some poll, might believe, or any sort of number of, or perhaps it's 50 plus 1, or 50 plus 2, or 75%. So given that it is such a key part of your message and your promise, can you talk and reflect a little bit more about what is unity when you see it and as you define it?
Randy, I think it makes up several of the issues, the points you made. One is unity requires you to eliminate the vitriol. Make anything that you disagree with about the other person's personality or their lack of integrity or they're not decent legislators and the like. So we have to get rid of that. And I think that's already beginning to change, but God knows where things go, number one. Unity also is trying to reflect what the majority of the American people, Democrat, Republican, Independent, think is within the fulcrum of what needs to be done to make their lives and the lives of Americans better. For example, if you look at the data, and I'm not claiming the polling data to be exact, but if you look at the data, you have, I think it's, I hope I'm saying it, I guess, Craig, you may correct me if I get the number wrong. I think it's 58% of the American people, including Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, think that we have to do something about the COVID vaccine. We have to do something about making sure that people who are hurting badly, can't eat, don't have food, are in a position where they're about to be thrown out of their apartments, et cetera, being able to have an opportunity to get a job, that they all think we should be acting. We should be doing more. Unity also is trying to get at a minimum, if you pass a piece of legislation that breaks down on party lines, but it gets passed, it doesn't mean there wasn't unity. It just means it wasn't bipartisan. I prefer these things to be bipartisan because I'm trying to generate some consensus and take sort of the, how can I say it, the vitriol out of all of this. Because I'm confident from my discussions. There are a number of Republicans who know we have to do something about food insecurity for people in this pandemic. I'm confident they know we have to do something about figuring out how to get children back in school. And there's easy ways to deal with this. One, if you're anti-union, you can say it's all because of teachers. If you want to make a case, though, that it's complicated, you say, well, what do you have to do to make it safe to get in those schools? And we're going to have arguments. For example, I proposed that because it was bipartisan, I thought it would increase the prospects of passage, the additional $1,400 in direct cash payment to folks. Well, there's legitimate reason for people to say, do you have the lines drawn the exact right way? Should it go to anybody making over X number of dollars or why? I'm open to negotiate those things. That's all. I picked it because I thought it was rational, reasonable, and it had overwhelming bipartisan support in the House when it passed. But this is all a bit of a moving target in terms of the precision with which this goes. You're asking about unity, 51 votes, bipartisan, et cetera. The other piece of this is that the one thing that gives me hope that we're not only going to sort of stay away from the ad hominem attacks on one another is that there is an overwhelming consensus among the major economists at home and in the world that the way to avoid a deeper recession moving in the direction of losing our competitive capacity is to spend money now. From across the board, every major institution has said, if we don't invest now, we're going to lose so much altitude in terms of our employment base and our economic growth, it's going to be harder to reestablish it. We can afford to do it now. As a matter of fact, I think the response has been, we can't afford not to invest now. We can't afford to fail to invest now. And I think there's a growing realization of that on the part of all but some very, very hard-edged partisans, maybe on both sides. But I think there is a growing consensus. Whether we get it all done exactly the way I want it remains to be seen.
Our show.
We now have a president who talks like a centrist.
Just relax. Find your center.
But is governing from the far left. And we're not going to be able to just sit around here in a honeymoon period and watch these things happen. It's important everyone is aware of it, that's the direction it appears we're headed.
There's no earthly way of knowing. He's singing which direction we are going.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Test assess, Rachel. I've been wanting to come on your show for months and months. You've been asking me to come on your show.
Get a room, you two.
Unchained and unstoppable.
President Biden is a big ice cream fan. So does that giant freezer full of ice cream really exist? I have not found it.
And you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
My name is Joe Biden, and I love ice cream.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
This Biden press conference is really painful, and it's not just because he's only taking questions from the pom-pom waving cheerleaders in the press, but that has a lot to do with it. He's gone from Reuters to NBC News to the Washington Post, which is Annie Linsky, who cut her teeth working as the lead hagiographer for the fake Indian, Senator Elizabeth Warren. And she did such a great job genuflecting to the fake Indian that they hired her at the Washington Post. And her hard-hitting question was, Mr. President, you talk so much on the campaign about unity. What are you going to do about unity? And it seems pretty clear that he's got a heads up on these questions. I mean, as much as you can give someone like Joe Biden a heads up on anything, But he's trying to work in some multi-syllable words into the presentation. People on the text line are already noticing vitriol, fulcrum, and my favorite, ad hominem. He's a scholar. You just ask him. He knows Latin. So that's 978. Joe Biden's favorite ice cream is being spoon-fed questions. Yeah, these are definitely spoon-fed questions. And he's just stumbling all over the place. One of the NBC News question, I can't even remember now what it was, because he just was stumbling and mumbling and jumbling and losing his place. And I'm just glad though that now that we have an adult administration, that they've finally started encouraging people to wash their hands. because there's, wherever you go, you never saw any sanitizing facilities, right? They haven't been anywhere, but now they're back. And electric vehicles are going to make all the difference. Someone says United States Postal Service just made a deal with Mercedes to buy some non-electric based vehicles. I wonder. I guess that's probably true.
It's incredible what the American people have done, and honestly, the American people have learned. We've all learned together between the shaking of the hands and the washing of the hands. Well, I used to wash my hands, and I always wash my hands a lot. I never was a big believer in shaking hands. Once I become a politician, you shake hands and you get a little bit used to it. Like immediately when I see you, I sort of apologize that I'm not shaking your hand.
We exchange air elbows,
Yeah,
which seems to be the thing today.
I never like to see that, actually.
All right. 844-500-4242. We can take some calls in this segment. People have been listening to this. I just want to go over some of these numbers on the fossil fuel situation, and then we'll get to the end of girl sports here in a little while as well. Shale fracking occurs in large part on federal land in western states, and it continually requires new leases and investment. He's not talking about this, and none of the Amen chorus are going to ask him about this today. Federal land accounts for 52% of New Mexico's oil production, 67% of its natural gas, as well as a sizable share of gas extraction in Colorado, 42%, Utah, 63%, Wyoming, 92%. A federal leasing ban, again, they don't care about this because, somehow they think they're going to get an exemption from any kind of gasoline or fuel oil or any kind of power shortages there are. A federal leasing ban would cost 18,000 jobs in Colorado, 33,000 in Wyoming, 62,000 in New Mexico by 2022. That's 1 year away. Oil and gas revenue accounts for 20% of New Mexico's budget. No wonder they're freaking out. The Biden administration has also essentially frozen new fossil fuel investment on private land with an order prohibiting career officials from signing off on easements, right-of-ways, environmental reviews, and resource management plans for 60 days. And they're putting in all these green activists. Consider Marissa Nodal, who will serve as new advisor at the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. An Interior Department press release describes her as, quote, a passionate advocate for climate.
Going to Ducey right now.
What? Go ahead.
It's going to Ducey right now.
Oh, it's going to Ducey. Here we go. Go ahead.
So you just said that you think within 3 weeks or so we'll be at the point where there are 1 million vaccines per day, but it seems like
no, I think we'll get there before that. I said I misspoke. I hope we'll be able to increase as we go along to get to the 1.5 million a day. That's my hope.
And then the follow-up to that would be, now that you're president and you're saying there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months, what happened to 2 months ago when you were talking declaratively about I am going to shut down the virus?
Well, I'm going to shut down the virus, but I never said I'd do it in 2 months. I said it took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to beat it. And so we have millions of people out there who have the virus. We're just, for the first day, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I've been doing other things this morning, speaking with foreign leaders, but one of the things I think this is one of the first days that the number has actually come down, the number of deaths and the number on a daily basis and the number of hospitalizations, et cetera. It's going to take time.
It's amazing.
It's going to
when
take
it started
a heck of a
coming
lot
down,
of time.
the death rate,
and we still have,
hospitalizations,
as Dr.
testing
Fauci
positive.
constantly points out, it's one thing when we have mass, how can I say it politely, mass disregard of the warnings about not wearing masks and wearing masks and social
you mean like you going to the
distancing
Lincoln
and failure
Memorial?
of social distance and people getting together on holidays in ways that weren't recommended, et cetera. We see, first thing that happens is we see the number of
He just put his
infections
mask
go up.
on
Then
while
you
he
see
said
the
that.
hospitalizations go up. Then you see the deaths go up.
He wasn't wearing his mask until now, and then he put his mask on just now?
Correct.
So now he's speaking through the mask?
Yes.
Now that he remembered that he's lecturing other people while not wearing the mask?
From the very beginning of getting here, after being sworn in, was the predictions were we're going to see somewhere between a total of 600,000 and 660,000 deaths
You made
before
those
we begin to
predictions.
turn
No
the
one else
corner
made
in a
those
major way.
predictions.
So, and again, remember, the vaccine, most of the people taking the vaccine, a vast significant number, require 2 shots, and they're average of 3 weeks apart. And it takes time for it to be sure that you get to that 95% assurance rate. And so it's beginning to move, but I'm confident we will beat this. We will beat this, but we're still going to be talking about this in the summer. We're still going to be dealing with this issue in the early fall. And last point I'll make, and I know you're tired of hearing me saying it, particularly you may be tired of hearing me saying it, and that is that if we wear masks between now and the end of April, the experts tell us we can save 50,000 lives. 50,000 people otherwise would die. Thank you so very much.
Is he wearing the mask as he leaves?
Yes.
Oh, good. Whew. This is probably, I think it is definitely the first time ever that the president doesn't call on the reporters, that the reporters have to queue up. And do they draw it out of a hat? And then Ducey is always going to be batting ninth in the lineup. There's no question about that, is there? There's no way he gets to be the leadoff guy. Of course, it really wouldn't matter, because you think Annie Linsky would ask him a tough question if Ducey had him on the ropes? Of course not. That's if she asks him a tough question, she's not going to be there for long. She'll be handling the Amazon union election down in Bessemer, Alabama, where they're demanding that all the voting take place in person. It's amazing, isn't it? The Washington Post wants fraudulent mail-in balloting for president of the United States, but for the union election for the Amazon facility in Bessemer, Alabama, 6,000 workers voting. They say it's not possible to have a real election with mail-in voting. You have to get vote fidelity and timeliness of vote count, and to have a valid and a fair election, you have to have voting in person. That's what Jeff Bezos says for the election that affects him personally and his company. The election that affects you and me, our freedoms, our economy, our safety, just let the Democrats steal it. It's no big deal. Hit refresh on your dinner routine in 2021 with HelloFresh. Right now, you can take advantage of their limited time New Year's sale. See why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. It's so inconvenient to go out to the grocery store. You just heard Biden talking about it. He wants to keep everything shut down. He still wants to keep it shut down. So that means you got to wear masks. You got to go through all that rigmarole at the supermarkets. You don't want to deal with that. And plus, you need to change your routine. You need to try some different foods. Maybe you'll like them. HelloFresh gives you simple recipes and fresh ingredients. You're more likely to like HelloFresh than just about any other place you're going to get a change of pace from. Sourced directly from growers and delivered to your door contact-free. With more than 23 weekly recipes, there's something for everyone to enjoy, including family-friendly, vegetarian, and low-calorie options. Say goodbye to never-ending meal planning and prepping. HelloFresh recipe cards are easy to follow with simple steps and pictures. You can get meals on the table in as little as 20 minutes. Plus, by skipping the grocery store, you can save up to 40% on groceries. Cut food waste by 25%.
Another thing about HelloFresh, Howie, is that, with a lot of meal prep plans, the food comes prepared for you. With this, you're preparing the food. So if there's an ingredient you don't really care for, or somebody your house is really picky, you don't have to include it if you don't want to. You can customize what you're putting on the table.
I always say everything goes better with a lot of butter, right? You can throw in butter wherever you want. Save time, and it saves you time, so you have more time to spend with your loved ones. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie10 for 10 free meals across 4 boxes, including free shipping on your first box during HelloFresh's New Year sale. For a limited time only, go to HelloFresh.com and use code Howie10 for 10 free meals. Check it out. You'll love it. HelloFresh.com. I'm Howie Carr.
He's the guru of craft. It's Howie Carr.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here is the official re-entry from the basement.
You're a phony. Hey, this guy's a great big phony.
Cleared by CDC. A little sweaty. Just worked out.
Oh, my.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
There's no silencing him. They've tried.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Howie Carr.
Excuse me, in 2018 alone, the department spent
in
2018 alone, 1918, excuse me.
Who's 20th century, 21st century? Yeah. You know, they said 600,000 people were going to die. No, you said 600,000. You also said 200 million were going to die. God. Today's poll question is brought to you by the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. BOGO is back for this week only. Buy one Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier and get one free. To order, go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. What a deal. What a deal. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Would you go to jail for 15 hours to keep your dog?
Yes, 15 hours. That's about, not much longer.
71% say yes, they would.
All right. And again, he does, that guy, his name is Barry Myrick. He does have a GoFundMe page, and he's raised about 15,000 so far. And that's what the company says that they've spent on his dog, Roxy, over the years. And they want Roxy back. 844-500-4242. You know what would have been a good question for the press conference? I mean, it's not fawning enough. It's not obsequious enough. It's not slobbering enough. Mr. President, your transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, said that higher gas taxes are on the table. Is that really the smart thing to do when the economy is in a deep recession brought on by your party's panic and hysteria over the seasonal flu known as COVID-19? But they're not going to ask him that because, again, that's not unity. Unity means asking only fawning questions. Arthur, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Arthur.
Thank you, Howie. I live up in the North Shore, and I've lived in the same apartment for 15 months. Before that, for the 20 years before that, one of the family members lived in it that owns the apartment. Last 60 days, I've gotten 3 letters from whoever's in charge of the voting in my town, wanting to know, I didn't open them, wanting to know if I wanted to be taken off the roll.
Right. I got the same letter, Arthur. Well, I live in Norfolk County. I get the same letter.
But all 3 of these letters had different names on them. The right address, but different names.
Oh man. It's just it's such a mess, and that's the first bill they put up. They want to keep the fraud going. That's House HR 1. That's the first bill they put up, is to keep it going. And you just heard him say, "Oh, we can't relax that much," because they want to have this in their quiver if they have to put it out for the midterm elections. Because they are going so far to the left. They're going to try to personally ID every American with a job and piss him off. Yeah, but they think they can still win if they have this mail-in voting. Thanks for the call, Arthur. Lee, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, Howie, the economy's been so good for the last 4 years that construction companies have been asking for the waiver on U.S. products because of the backup. They can't get it. So they were allowed to buy Canadian and Indian products, who are our allies, supposedly. So he's throwing out that that last president didn't buy U.S. Yeah, he was buying all U.S. on all federal jobs, most state jobs, and all of that. But because of the backup and the fact that everybody was so busy, they were allowed, and they asked for their waivers, and they got them on most of the projects to buy from Canada or India.
Yeah, I know. And if he wants to have things made in the U.S., how about the Keystone XL pipeline? The oil is, granted, the oil is coming in from Canada, but it's going to be refined in the Gulf states in the United States, and it's going to be sent out. And isn't it much more wise? Isn't it much more secure to rely on Canada rather than the Mideast states, which have huge populations of terrorists and have shaken us down in the past, leading to oil embargoes in the 70s and 80s? Does he not understand the connection between energy independence and energy production and national security? Thanks for the call, Lee. John, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Howie, just got back from Florida. The only worse thing than that is listening to the Biden press conference. But hey, just a quick note on the electric cars, because I told your screener there. Unfortunately, one of the reasons Germany hasn't really ramped their car thing up is electric cars actually have less parts. Less parts mean less jobs. And if you've ever driven a golf cart, you know what I mean.
That's a real good point. I'd forgotten about that. I have read that in the past. Yeah, that there's going to be if they ever do go to electric cars, and I hope they don't, because I don't want to drive one. I don't want to have to charge my batteries every couple 100 miles. That there are a lot fewer manufacturing jobs, and the UAW is a shadow of its former self as it is, and they're gonna lose more jobs in the American factories in Michigan, Ohio, and increasingly in the Sun Belt states. That's a really good point, John. I appreciate you making it. All right, when we come back, we're going to do Hate Mail Monday with Grace, and then we'll take more calls. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr. You may have heard that many of the RV and camping shows have been canceled, but don't worry. Cold Springs RV is happy to announce the New England RV Show. This is Howie Carr, and if you're a camper, I've got 2 words of advice for you. Buy early. With the popularity of camping growing and manufacturers' constraints, the earlier you shop, the better. Visit Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire to make sure you get spring delivery. Go to newenglandrvshow.com to learn about this safe show.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, a 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian. The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with Hellofresh. They'll send you easy to follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now. Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first kid in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glennis the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
No, it's not because they weren't as smart.
Does anybody really think that they didn't get what we had because they didn't have the talent?
It's not because they didn't work as hard.
Or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment. Of course not.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
It was because there was no platform upon which they could stand.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
Come on, man.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
There's a group of about 10 people outside of work that represent the entire universe of the community that I've spent time with and my wife has spent time with since March.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power, and the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
We spent time with about 10 people, period. We have a lot of friends we have not seen for months, and we don't know when we will see them. There are lots of people we haven't seen in like forever.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
Those are the rules in this game that we all need to play by.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
My wife and my circle of friends has gotten very small.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. You know, Charlie Parker thinks he's doing a really good job. Number one nursing home death rate in the United States. 1 out of every nursing home patients a year ago is dead from COVID-19. That's regulated, those nursing homes, by his Department of Public Health. Number 3 overall death rate. And now the latest, Massachusetts lagging behind most other states in COVID-19 vaccination rollout. That's the Boston Globe, which is his fanzine. Massachusetts ranks in the bottom half of U.S. states in getting injections into the arms of its residents. Massachusetts trails every other New England state, as well as New York, in the number of vaccine doses administered per capita. Less than 5.4% of Massachusetts residents have been inoculated as of Friday, compared to over 10% in West Virginia and 11% in Alaska. Gee, maybe, I don't think Governor Justice in West Virginia sent the National Guard down to Washington, D.C. for a photo op and to be insulted by Congressman Bill Keating. Justice kept the National Guard in West Virginia, I believe, or most of them, to administer the vaccines. All right.
Howie,
Yes.
could I give a little plug?
Yes.
If anyone wants to read my column on the terrible Massachusetts vaccine rollout, it's at Spectator US, and you can check it out. And I talk about Governor Justice and Governor Charlie Baker and Governor Andrew Cuomo. And actually, and this is just a side note, I don't usually promote Bloomberg, but if anyone wants to see the percentage of your state, they have a huge map on the Bloomberg website, and it's pretty interesting. You can go click on California, see the percentage of rollout they have in other states, and you'll notice a trend as you look at the map.
You know, Bloomberg has another interesting stat on their website today, Grace. Dark money in the presidential election. That means money coming in from parts unknown, and countries unknown, and continents and hemispheres unknown. Would you care to guess who took more dark money in 2020? Mr. Orange Man Bad or Mr. Return to Normalcy?
I'm going to say the man who is ushering in the pillars of our democracy, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden took in $145 million in dark money compared to Donald J. Trump's $28 million.
I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised either, but it's good to see it in Bloomberg, a left-wing outlet.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys, it's time for Hate Mail Monday.
It's time for Howie Carr's Hate Mail Monday. Let the hate flow through you.
You know how Hate Mail Monday works, and this is the second week in a row we're actually doing it on a Monday. Howie Carr is just himself. He exudes his Howie Carr-ness to the world, and then what happens is people send us hate mail via email, via voicemail, on his Facebook, on his Twitter, on his Boston Herald columns. The hate flows constantly, and I'm going to read you guys some of it now.
Grace, you know, someone just said someone just texted me 508. My husband and I are going to Florida for 5 weeks. Just got an appointment to get the COVID-19 vaccine on Feb 2nd. You know, there was a story over the weekend. I don't know if you saw it, that they're trying to crack down in Florida on they're calling them vaccination tourists. They're coming down just for the. I'm going to ask a question. Since DeSantis is doing such a bad job and Baker's doing such a good job, is Massachusetts having a problem with vaccination tourists coming into the state to enjoy the fine weather and get a vaccination at the same time?
No, Howie, because of our vaccine rollout and so many other things that make the state unique, we don't have tourists of any kind. Vaccine tourists, regular tourists. I can't remember the last time I saw someone saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not from here. I'm just on vacation." I would send that person to a
I like to see all the boarded up storefronts and not be able to eat anywhere, and have people Karen screaming at me and calling in on their cell phones to the snitch lines.
Well, speaking
and being
of
lectured when I get off the plane at Logan. Achtung! Achtung!
Howie was talking a lot about what the representative from Massachusetts that he now calls Karen Keating, otherwise known as William Keating. And Howie, you were talking about it, you were tweeting about it, and this person replied back, Representative Keating is a great man, and I am proud of him and his service. Howie Carr will be remembered as a Trump suck-up. all day, every day. Okay, back to your grown baby echo chamber.
The only thing I liked about the Herald story the next day was they got in the fact that not only, in addition to his $185,000 salary, he's also making $114,000 a year state pension because he's Group 4. He's a cop, being an ex-DA. So he got to retire at age 55 with the full boat.
Is that what you call a double dipper?
Yes, that is what you call a double dipper. Yes.
For any tourists who aren't from here and happen to be listening in, we like to give them the lingo in Massachusetts. Mueller, the avenging angel, is back. He writes under your column. You wrote a column about how now that Trump is out of office, the coronavirus is turning the corner.
Yes, it is.
Mueller, the avenging angel, disagrees. He said, wrong. Trump botched every element of the virus response. Everyone. People died as a direct result of his incompetence. President Joe Biden, I love the sound of that, don't you? Actually is taking charge and will save lives. MAGA loses again.
Here's a headline from the United Press International today. COVID-19, new cases fall. Earlier this week, the United States cleared more than 400,000 deaths. It cleared. Whatever happened to grim milestones, Grace?
You know, things come into fashion and things fade from fashion. By the way, Howie, you had a birthday a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you said this, why this person left this message, but did you mention getting a hot dog for your birthday dinner?
I may have said that I was if we were going down to be at the beach club at Mar-a-Lago, I said I might get a hot dog. I think that's the only time I would have. That's the only context I could imagine mentioning a hot dog.
Because I didn't think you were a big hot dog
No,
guy.
I'm not a big hot dog fan, but they have pretty good hot dogs down there.
Okay, well, we have a hate mail voicemail about it.
You're going to have a hot dog for your birthday dinner? Boy, you are a cheap bastard.
It ended up I didn't have. You'll feel caller. You feel free to rejoice. I did not have a hot dog for my birthday dinner.
I like a good hot dog, but I mean, on your birthday, I usually would go for something a little bit fancier. Guys, Hate Mail Monday is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. Make sure you check out all their bread. Howie, you get a lot of hate now in my columns. You're like a tourist in my columns. You show up unexpectedly when I'm reading all my hate, and your name gets thrown around quite a bit. So I wrote a column this week about the media and how, you know, they gave everything to Joe Biden and he will give them nothing in return. This person wrote another lightweight Howie wannabe article from Grace, who really needs to find a better use of her life. So the point of this article is what exactly? The press gave Joe everything and got nothing in return. What is this gibberish, Grace? Here's something to think about. Biden has been in office not even a week. He's busy. This part really makes me laugh. He's busy actually trying to govern, not do a Trump-like carnival act in front of the cameras. It's disingenuous clickbait prostitutes like you and Howie and the world's greatest liar, Trump, who have undermined faith in the press, not Biden. You are lame.
Clickbait prostitutes.
That's the first I've seen of that.
And again, I haven't gotten to this story yet. I will get to it in the next couple of days. The New York Times, by promoting the Russian collusion hoax, went from 1 million subscribers to 6 million subscribers for its internet service. They don't sell any real papers anymore. Well, who does? But 1.1 million to 6 million. Is that clickbait?
It's a very good question. I just noticed that we used to be called they've called us whores before, but prostitutes is a new level. The words are getting more and more vicious, and you'd think they'd be getting nicer as they're guys in the office now. Justin wrote under my column, another sophomoric column by Gracie, who teams up with Carr in the local version of Dumb and Dumber. I expect we will have 4 years of this blather to get used to.
Let's hope so.
I know.
At least 4 years.
I hope to be writing for the Herald for 4 more years.
I'm going to need to write. We're both of us are going to need to write a lot longer because we're going to be making probably less money with all the increases in taxes to pay for all these wonderful green energy initiatives and all the hand sanitizing. That's Donald Trump never thought of that.
It's all worth it though if it helps the climate. Taylor, can we get another voicemail, please?
Hey, Howie, I just headed out with my sister-in-law last night. She loves your show. She loves you. Oh, by the way, I told you you're a dirty little old man spewing garbage. By the way, you think you're a friggin' movie star. I told you wrote the stupid columns at the Herald. You've been blasting people for the last 30 years. You get paid to open your big mouth. Oh, by the way, you can't even write a nice column at holidays. No, you have nothing nice to say about people.
Have another drink.
You can't even write a nice column on holidays, Howie. What's wrong
Guy's
with
just
you?
mad because he hasn't been able to go to the bar for the last year. You know,
he
has
doesn't know he's talking to a smoothie star.
That's me.
Howie, another person wrote underneath your column, that guy called you a dirty little man, but this person said, nothing in this column is true. This is your column about coronavirus taking the turn now that Biden's president. He said, nothing in this column is true. Just more lies from a very, very little man. Actually, people are often surprised how tall Howie is in person.
I said that anybody who wants to check out what I'm writing, I gave them the words to Google in if they wanted to check out all those headlines I used. COVID deaths falling, hospitalizations declining, positive cases plummeting. I told them where to get that stuff. Why don't they check it out rather than just saying it's a lie?
Yeah, they say that all the time, though. They'll say you're lying if you quote people. Like, I put a lot of quotes in my columns, and people say, oh, you're taking them out of context or you're lying. I'm like, it's the quote. It's their words. I'm not, editing them.
And we have this great system, Grace and I both. We can listen to the quotes over and over again. That's why I always put in my columns, all dialogue guaranteed verbatim.
Yeah.
You could accuse you may not like the way I interpret it, but it's not a lie.
Howie, we have one more voicemail before we go.
Hey, Howie, I guess I really thought that you're a pompous ass. Today, Democrats are communists and are closer to Lee Harvey Oswald. Brilliant, Howie. You are such a jackass. Yep. By the way, go have another facelift.
That might be the same guy.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I like him. You know what? He should join the lineup.
You better enjoy him. You know, you're drinking like that, Grace. The liver's gonna just kick out pretty soon. You know, it's probably the size of a White Castle dime burger as it is.
I think he's jealous of your good looks. He seems to really hone in on that. Anyway, guys, Hate Mail Monday, as always, is brought to you by Piantadosi Baking Company, celebrating over 100 years of baking excellence since 1916. Thank you very much, Howard Lawrence Carr.
All right, thank you. We'll go back to the phone lines in just a moment. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. It's Howie Carr.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Defensive Strategies in Manchester, New Hampshire. Defensive Strategies is the premier firearms training company in southern New Hampshire with more than 100 classes from beginner to instructor level. Come to where the trainers train. Visit defensivestrategies.org.
As this year of COVID draws to a close, it's time to make sure your portfolio is ready for whatever happens next. Kevin Frisbee and the team at Frisbee & Associates are ready to help you. It's called the 100-100 Challenge. If you have $100,000 saved for retirement and come in for that no-cost, no-obligation consultation, you'll walk out with $100 cash. That's right, $100 just to let Kevin do a portfolio x-ray and see what might be hiding in your current plan. Call now for your no-cost or obligation consultation, and you could walk out with $100 cash. Call 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100. Kevin is a true fiduciary. That means by law, he's always working in your best interest. And be sure and catch Kevin on the Howie Carr radio program every Thursday afternoon for a market review and tips on creating the retirement of your dreams. Call Kevin Frisbee today, 800-989-9100. That's 800-989-9100.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price.
We shall pay any price.
Bear any burden.
Bear any burden.
Accept any challenge and meet any hardship.
Meet any hardship.
to secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children.
To assure the survival and the success of liberty.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. It cannot measure the health of our children.
Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children.
The quality of our education.
The quality of their education.
The joy of their play.
For the joy of their play.
Come on, man.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair, so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
What deal can we have, Crazy Nancy?
The Constitution does not say that a person can shout wolf in a crowded theater.
But to be clear, you're not taking any arrows out of your quiver. You're not ruling anything out.
Good morning. Sunday morning. Chocolate, candy, chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here. Consistently practice social distancing.
Why does AOC complain that you have not been grooming younger people for leadership?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her.
That was kind of sharp.
I'm not a big needle taker. I mean, I had a hard time getting my ears pierced. I'm not a big needle taker. Mother Earth is angry. She's telling us.
What do you think is causing this erratic behavior?
I think that the president has always had erratic behavior. I have ice cream in my freezer. I guess that's better than having Lysol in somebody's lungs. Civilization as we know it is at stake. I don't drink, but I'm happy to have ice cream with anybody anytime.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
The Howie Carr Show.
Here's another question they forgot to ask Biden. What happened to those $2,000 checks that you were promoting a couple of weeks ago in Georgia before the election? Why is it $1,400 now instead of $2,000? Here's another question. Why are we sending troops back into Syria? What's that all about?
The fact is that I don't remember.
844-500-4242. Do you notice a difference in the tone? I mean, it's like they genuflect. They're like altar boys going up to the priest with the chalice. You know, they genuflect, and then they bow. Oh. Fred, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Fred.
Hey, long-time listener since the 90s, my friend.
Thank you.
Well, what I wanted to say is after, I guess I got to cut to the chase. So anywhere, our military service members that are headed down there, I guess they not only received that email from the tag, the Adjutant General, like you mentioned in your show yesterday.
Oh, General Keane, I think his name is. General Keane.
Keith. Yeah, Keith. He's a good guy. He's just like in the military, we serve under people. So when there's somebody on top of you, you have to go by.
Fred, I understand. We all have to put up with that to a greater or lesser degree in our daily lives. In the military, I think more so than most other places, right? I mean, that guy was just he was taught. It seems to me he was told to write something to cover Keating's asinine behavior, and the thing was they couldn't even get their story straight. Keating says, Well, I just spoke generally to people. And then the general says he reminded one soldier. So, that's quite a variation. And, he didn't get called out on it enough. As I predicted, nothing in the Cape Cod Times, which Keating represents, nothing in the Boston Globe, only a story in the Herald, and it was a pretty weak story indeed. Thanks for the call, Fred. Ed, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, Howie, how are you?
Good.
Good. Just want to bring something up and then just get your opinion on it. As a true Republican and a true American, I'm listening to all that's happening in our country, and I think back and I'm wondering, President Trump is one of the few presidents who was able to put in 3 Supreme Court justices. Obviously, Washington was the first. He got in 12.
Right.
But that being said, an enormous amount of Ninth Circuit judges. As I try to wrap my finger around what happened, how do I get through the fact that William Barr said there was no mass fraud in voting, that the Supreme Court wouldn't take up the case when he appointed 3 of them, and when all these judges from all these different circuits all declined to take these cases? How do I grasp that?
I think you just have to understand that how corrupt the system is, and how deep is the I don't know how to say it even. How deep is the compulsion of these people to go along to get along? Nobody is willing to take a stand. I mean, you had 2 justices, 2 out of 9. 5 of the justices, I'm not even including Roberts, but 5 of the justices are Republican. And the only ones that would say we have to take this up because of the massive voter fraud, especially in Pennsylvania. That was the case. The only Alito, Samuel Alito, and Clarence Thomas were the only ones. His 3 judges, Trump's 3 judges, didn't have the spine to go against the deep state. And I know 2 of them, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, they're swamp creatures. They went to high school in the D.C. area, and I don't know. I don't know. It's very depressing that they couldn't even get hearings when the fraud was so obvious. 1,000 affidavits and depositions. I'm Howie Carr.
Great news. The Gen 40 heater is back and just in time for the really cold weather. Oil prices are going to go up. The Keystone XL pipeline has been stopped. 35 million gallons of oil a day are gone. Now there is a new moratorium on fracking on federal land. That affects natural gas. It was 10 degrees in parts of New England this past weekend. You need to start planning, and that means you need a Gen 40 heater. Robert from the Cape says the Gen 40 performs like no heater I've ever used. It is remarkable. The Eden Pure Gen 40 makes you feel warmer than your furnace, and it also costs less to run. You may be working from home now, and you will need to pay close attention to your heating bills. The Eden Pure Gen 40 will pay for itself in a matter of weeks. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieDeal to get $50 off the sale price. That's EdenPure.com and use code word HowieDeal for an extra $50 off. These heaters are in high demand, so go right now to EdenPure.com.
Normally, we give Fredo Cuomo a lot of attention, but lately it's Governor Andrew Cuomo who's been grabbing headlines. Let's take a listen to some of his best moments.
You're an essential worker, so go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of...
No, there are people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone. The number is down because we brought the number down. God did not do that. Fate did not do that. Destiny did not do that. We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. Because I can all see you're in masterful shape, buff even. It has a very nice floral bouquet. Little I detect lilac, hydrangea, tulips. What does it smell like to you? Tulips, yes. Floral bouquet.
Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York.
He might not be flashy, but he's there when it counts. Here's 1 minute of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
For the first time in my memory, I agree with Nancy Pelosi. I am indeed the Grim Reaper when it comes to the socialist agenda that they've been ginning up over in the House.
You watch the fight, you watch the tactics, but here's what I want to tell you. In the very near future, Judge Kavanaugh will be on the United States Supreme Court.
Noted with great interest the Green New Deal. And we're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the Green New Deal.
Well, first on the impartiality issue, do you think Chuck Schumer is impartial? Do you think Elizabeth Warren is impartial?
No.
Bernie Sanders is impartial? So let's quit the charade. This is a political exercise. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent in the United States of America. Look, we're at an impasse. We can't do anything until the speaker sends the papers over, so everybody enjoy the holidays.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beets for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beets? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beets are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
We are now, effective today, requiring all counties to close their indoor activities, their indoor operations in the following sectors: restaurants, wineries, tasting rooms. A few weeks ago, I was asked to go to a friend's 50th birthday. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Stay at home as much as possible. Put those social gatherings on hold, including extra care for Thanksgiving.
Denver's mayor told you to stay home for Thanksgiving, then he got on a flight to go see family out of state.
Some people calling Supervisor Kuehl a hypocrite. Now, on November 24th, she voted to ban outdoor dining, and on the very same day, she was spotted eating out.
I take responsibility for trusting the word of the neighborhood salon that I've been to over the years. As it turns out, it was a setup. So I take responsibility for falling for a setup. This salon owes me an apology. What they do.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
There's a group of about 10 people outside of work that represent the entire universe of the community that I've spent time with and my wife has spent time with since March.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panic porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power, and the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
We spent time with about 10 people, period. We have a lot of friends we have not seen for months, and we don't know when we will see them. There are lots of people we haven't seen in like forever.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
Those are the rules in this game that we all need to play by.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
My wife and my circle of friends has gotten very small.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Are we starting to feel bad for Joe Biden? Sorta. Are we going to play his gaps anyway? Of course.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
Now we need to stand behind Jamie Harrison, the next president of the next senator.
I'm looking forward to appointing the first African-American woman to the United States Senate.
Just like here in California, here in Nevada. Back in the spring, late fall, late spring, late winter, early fall, anyway, you know what I mean.
Look, tomorrow's superstars.
Tuesday. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I?
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
It says you cannot have 20, 30, 40, 50 clips in a weapon.
We'll see who's sleepy.
Mr. Vice President, thank you.
All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Christmas.
Sometimes I wake up and I think it's 1920, not 2020.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie. And now, a minute of wisdom from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Millennials and people and Gen Z and all these folks that come after us are looking up, and we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And this is the war. This is our World War II.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
We now have a president who talks like a centrist.
Just relax. Find your center.
But is governing from the far left. And we're not going to be able to just sit around here in a honeymoon period and watch these things happen. It's important everyone is aware of it, that's the direction it appears we're headed.
There's no earthly way of knowing singing which direction we are going.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Test assess, Rachel. I've been wanting to come on your show for months and months. You've been asking me to come on your show.
Get a room, you two.
Unchained and unstoppable.
President Biden is a big ice cream fan. So does that giant freezer full of ice cream really exist? I have not found it.
Then you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
My name is Joe Biden, and I love ice cream.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
So Larry King won't be down for breakfast. I believe he's been a guest on this show in the past, a long time ago. And I've been a guest on his show, too. It's the CNN show, a long, long time ago. Barney Frank yelled at me on it. I remember that. I was wearing a polo shirt because I've been doing a remote. It was a Friday afternoon. I was doing a remote down on the Cape, and they said, "Can you come up?" I said, "Sure. What the hell? I'll be wearing a yellow polo shirt, and there may be some tartar sauce stains on it." They said, "That's fine. That's fine." Anyway, Larry King, 87 years old. He had diabetes, a recent stroke, previous heart attack, quintuple cardiac bypass surgery, used to smoke 3 packs a day, had lung cancer in the past, prostate cancer in the past, was married 8 times, filed for bankruptcy 3 times. COVID. At least that's what
Is bankruptcy a comorbidity in your mind?
I think bankruptcy is a difficult mental process to go through, like being married 8 times. I think all this stuff takes something out of somebody, especially if you're smoking 3 packs a day. And
that's probably why he smoked 3 packs a day.
Yeah. But there is I read it in the New York Post that it was COVID, but other people are saying that under the Biden rules, it's not COVID. Because that's, again, Biden was bragging today. Oh, we've got the death rates coming down, and there are fewer people infections because they've changed how they measure infections. Oddly enough, they changed the rules on January 13th, but they didn't announce them until January 20th. What happened on January 20th that made the CDC change its rules? I wonder. Just one of those things. So I guess Larry and I won't be having lunch the next time he gets into Boston. That's what he said to me when as he was leaving the show. Time now for the chump line.
The Democrats are so forward thinking. They have solutions even before the problems.
That's right. And they have new problems so that they can solve them, like the mutant variant strain of COVID-19. Being pushed by some, but not all Democrats. Could be a schism in the party.
Howie, maybe after Biden's presidency, they'll name an ice cream flavor after him. Too bad Rocky Road's already taken.
I don't know. They get Tutti Frutti. Nah, he's not. He doesn't go that way. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, reminding President Biden that while he and the good doctor redecorate the White House, they could save energy and increase the property value by putting in some of our wicked, awesome windows and doors. They named it an ice cream after Joe Kennedy, the first congressman, Joe Kennedy, after he crippled poor Pam Kelly. You know what the ice cream they named after him was, Taylor?
I have a feeling I'm about to find out.
Fudge Cripple.
Ha, 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 ha.
Howie, Larry King calling. Well, it appears I didn't come down for breakfast. Surprisingly, it was because of COVID-19 rather than one of my 8 marriages. But now I pass the torch because you are the oldest man on radio. So instead of goodbye, how about so long?
That's just not true. That's just not true. But goodbye, Larry. Who was it that got angry? Some people got angry at him on the radio because he was never prepared. Did you ever listen to his overnight show? I don't care. Usually I wouldn't care because I didn't really, care about the guests all that much. But I remember a couple of times there were people I was interested in and he was interviewing them and there would be an obvious follow-up question. He would have no idea what to ask him. Same thing on CNN, on TV. But the thing that I always liked was his column in USA Today. Larry King's People, News, and Views. That Hank Aaron, he could really hit home runs. Do you realize Tom Brady's going back to the Super Bowl? He was a font of wisdom, that guy. Telling you things you never would have thought of otherwise.
I say, let's impeach Barack Obama. He's not allowed to have a third term.
I was glad to see Mark Stein today filling in for Rush. I was listening to him when Grace was on break, and he was talking about Oliver Cromwell being dug up. It's such an obvious historical parallel that what they're trying to do to Trump, impeaching him after he's left office. They dug up Cromwell after he was dead and tried him for treason.
Howie, Gavin Newsom is following the science, the political science.
Yes, he is. I don't think he understands, though, that if he opens up the restaurants to 50% capacity, it'll be much easier to have those petitions in the lobbies of all the restaurants so that people can sign them to recall them. It seems like it would be easier to get the final 400,000 signatures to put him back on the ballot.
I guess the new virtue signal is to wear 2 masks instead of 1 mask. Then you can be an even better person. How about a safety pin from 2016 at the same time?
Yeah, that is the new thing. In case you haven't heard, two masks are better than 1. I don't know what good a mask, Dr. Fauci himself said, a mask doesn't mean anything. So if one mask doesn't mean anything, why do two masks mean something?
Hey, Howie. Do we really have to sit through another procession with Nancy Pelosi holding a wooden box of pens? They looked like the Addams family marching down the aisle.
Yeah, that's what Greg Gutfeld said when they did it the first time, didn't he? He said it looked like an Addams family wedding. Yeah. And I'm sure she was wearing the same dress that she wore the first time because she's really into that historical precedent when it comes to clothes. Like anybody else in the world cares.
Lovey, I'm so elated to hear that Tom Bradley won the football match. Now he and his Boston Patriots football club are heading to the Super Cup. Perhaps we can arrange for James Taylor to perform Sweet Adeline in the 7th inning stretch.
Did you see a lot of the big advertisers, traditional companies that spend millions on the Super Bowl ads are pulling out this year just because they're concerned that they won't hit the right note? They're, I guess Budweiser doesn't think it can, have its usual lighthearted ad, the goofy stuff. Coke is out. Pepsi is out. Avocados of Mexico are out. I think it's a pretty good move on their part, because what can you say in this situation? You're just going to piss off half the country, whatever you do. And the ads are $5.5 million. On the other side, who the hell is watching regular TV anymore, including cable TV? So, I mean, 5.5 million is a lot of money, but at least you're reaching a lot of eyeballs.
Howie, you leave that poor president alone. Do you know how tiring it is to sign 30 signatures?
Yeah, did you hear him? He was out of breath after he signed the executive order. And did you hear that over the weekend? They had he was opening one of the executive orders, and he says, "I don't know what's in this," and Kamala says, "Just sign it anyway." There was the governor of Louisiana, O.K. Allen. Huey Long put him in when he became the senator. He was like the figurehead governor. And they used to say of O.K. Allen that if he had the window open in his office and a leaf blew in and landed on his desk, he would have signed it. I'm getting the same vibe from Dementia Joe.
I wonder what Biden's chances would have been if back in October he had said, "Oh, there's nothing we can do to slow down the rate of transmission."
I know. He said, "I have a plan." Those were his exact words. I saw the tweet this weekend. It was from October 15th. "I have a plan." How was that any different than Nixon's secret plan to end the war in Vietnam? There was no secret plan for Nixon. There was no plan for Biden. But only one of them took grief.
Come on, man. There's nothing wrong with sending the Salvation Army down to the basement in the garage. Hell, I spent all summer in the basement, warmed up president of, the thing. Yeah, he did. The Salvation Army. Now they're going to keep the Salvation Army in Washington until March for photo ops to make it seem like there's a danger of insurrection.
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
You know what Peter Ducey should have yelled at him at the end of the thing? Salute the Marines. Would he have repeated salute the Marines, or would he have saluted the Marines? I'm going to say the former, because we already have evidence of that, right? That's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message. By the way, it's not any hour of the day or night. It's between 1 and 4 every afternoon. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave that message between 1 and 4 every afternoon, is 844-500-4242, 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. If you want to hear more Chump Line messages that we left on the cutting room floor, you can at 7 o'clock tonight. We'll post Chopped Chumps, all the other messages of the day.
Get Chopped Chumps as a podcast wherever you get your Howie Carr Show podcast. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, reminding President Biden that when he and the good doctor redecorate the White House, they could save energy and increase the property value by putting in some of our wicked awesome windows and doors.
Hey, Howie, do we really have to sit through another procession with Nancy Pelosi holding a wooden box of pens? They look like the Addams family marching down the aisle.
They're kooky and they're crazy. There's Eric Swalwell with his former girlfriend, Fang Fang. Fang Fang would have been a good member of the Addams family, right? They had Lurch, Uncle Fester, and Fang Fang, the girlfriend. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
I recently had a dental emergency, and where did I go? Perfect Smiles. I've said this before, but this reminded me again of what a perfectionist Dr. Houghton is. He is a veneer engineer, a world-class dental artist. Being on TV, it's important that I look my best. Dr. Houghton did that for me, and he can do it for you too. Right now, when a lot of people don't want to go into the city, Perfect Smiles is conveniently located in Nashua, New Hampshire, and parking is free. I was impressed to see all the state-of-the-art safety protocols that Perfect Smiles has taken since the virus. You'll feel safe and confident when you visit Perfect Smiles. Call 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE, or go to HowieCarrShow.com and click on the Perfect Smiles banner. You can also see my video at PerfectSmiles.com. Perfect Smiles. Change your smile. Change your life.
Taylor.
Joe.
Do you have the original erection video audio?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just set up the first one, and then I'll say the second, and then I'll say the second one.
Okay.
African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing the hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out the middleman and buy direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too, and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with Hellofresh. They'll send you easy-to-follow recipes and all the ingredients you need, but only if you visit HelloFresh.com/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now. Joe Biden accuses Trump of being a racist, but if you listen to Biden's comments, you would agree that he doth protest too much.
If you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
The first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
That kid wearing the hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger.
They are beyond the pale, many of those people.
God love you. You've been here all day. My Lord, you may feel like you're being incarcerated.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
I think the two-party system is good for the South and good for the Negro.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, And you ain't black.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
Howie Carr is back.
The poll question today is brought to you by the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. BOGO is back for this week only. Buy one Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier. These are extremely popular and they're very effective. And get one free. BOGO. Buy one, get one. To order, go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Would you go to jail for 15 hours to keep your dog?
Yes, I would.
72% say yes.
Barry Myrick did in New York. It's still an open question, though, whether he's going to get to keep Roxy, the wonder dog, who he worked with for 4 years. Got a tattoo of Roxy on his leg. He says it's the only kid my wife and I are ever going to have. So he wants to keep the dog, even though the company he used to work for laid him off and now wants the dog back. It's a sad story. 844-500-4242. You know, on Friday, Senator Chuck Schumer, the majority leader, he made a very somber oration on the floor of the Senate talking about the momentous occasion that was going to be required of the senators to consider the second annual impeachment extravaganza of Donald J. Trump. Here it is. Here's what he said.
Donald John Trump incited the election.
Okay, let's hear it one more time.
Donald John Trump incited the election.
Okay, that's what he said. And then he corrected himself, incited the insurrection. That's what he meant to say, obviously. Now, how do you think the Democrat operatives with press passes in the media treated that? How did they get around that? How did it come out, you'll pardon the expression, on ABC quote-unquote news? Here's how it came out.
Senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection.
That's fake news. That's not what he said. He didn't say that. What was wrong?
Very fake news.
What was wrong with playing the real cut? Of course, again,
There will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection against the United States.
Oh, God.
Did they fix the name too? Did he say Donald John Trump twice?
Yes, he did.
In the ABC cut?
No way. You know what? That's a good point. Let's hear the ABC cut.
Senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the insurrection.
They cut that out too.
They did two cleanups.
Wow.
I'm sure they would have done the same thing for Trump if he'd done it, right?
Very fake news.
Okay, let's have Jen Psaki, as I call her, Jen Psaki, answering some of the really tough questions that have come in on Twitter. This is cut number 9 first. This is a Twitter question.
First feline updates would be greatly appreciated. I'm also wondering about the cat because the cat is going to dominate the internet whenever the cat is announced and wherever that cat is found.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're going to get a rescue cat on top of the rescue dog, Major? Good. Okay, now, of course, the other pressing issue of the day, ice cream, cut 10.
President Biden is a big ice cream fan. So does that giant freezer full of ice cream really exist? I have not found it, and I have worked here before. When I was in Bloomington before the president was inaugurated, I did ask him for my 4-year-old niece, Soraya, who was very curious about what his favorite ice cream was. His favorite ice cream was chocolate chip. So that is my update for all of you on that, but I have not found the freezer yet.
Boy, this is good stuff. I mean, this is hard-hitting journalism. This is what
This is what makes the Fourth Estate such a powerful organ of government, so to speak. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr. You may have heard that many of the RV and camping shows have been canceled, but don't worry. Cold Springs RV is happy to announce the New England RV Show. This is Howie Carr, and if you're a camper, I've got 2 words of advice for you. Buy early. With the popularity of camping growing and manufacturers' constraints, the earlier you shop, the better. Visit Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire to make sure you get spring delivery. Go to newenglandrvshow.com to learn about this safe show.
Liberty Safe. If you're a gun owner, you know that name because they've worked so hard to earn the title of America's #1 safe. And the area's best Liberty Safe dealer is Dependable Lock in Nashua. They have Liberty Safes in stock now. Keep your guns and other valuables locked up in a Liberty Safe. See the experts at Dependable Lock to learn more and see the full collection. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com. LibertySafeNewHampshire.com.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
Bigots and racists. Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry white guys. Angry white man.
Angry white old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote. All these angry white people. Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist. Racist, bigoted base.
It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's incel.
We tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer rube demo. Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling.
Taylor.
Even though my
math and your reading.
Yes.
Can you tweet out the censure Baker?
Yep, was just about to do that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
The Holiday Inn that they're staying at in the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is #1. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
He's the gaff that keeps on giving. Here's 1 minute of former Vice President Joe Biden.
You teachers who touch them, figuratively speaking, well, I hope you touch them and tell them how much you love them too. But my point is, when you touch their hearts, I get in trouble some things I say, but I want to tell you, just be straight up. If I'm your president, for me, it starts here in my gut, goes to my heart, and then I articulate it. And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. 1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store and in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Here's 1 minute of President Eric Swalwell.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bold. Welcome to my fellow candidates, whom I consider we are all a part of being the Avengers. The Republicans in 2016, that was the Hunger Games.
And, it's said
often that history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, and we heard a lot of rhymes yesterday.
My wife, Brittany, also wants you to know we've got two beautiful children, Nelson and Cricket. But the decision to have children was her choice.
I'm the only candidate calling for a ban and buyback on every single assault weapon. Again, we have to have an ankle monitor on this president. This is the worst possible time for a serial offender like him to be running around unsupervised.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
You may have read that the Arizona State GOP committee recently voted to censure several leading members of the Republican Party in Arizona, including Governor Douglas Ducey and John McCain's widow, and I believe it's the widow, not the daughter, and also former Senator Jeff Flake, who's aptly named, for speaking ill of former President Trump. And so now the Massachusetts Republican State Committee, which meets on Wednesday night, is being asked to do the same thing, to publicly censure the governor of the Commonwealth, Charlie Baker, also known to Joe Biden as Charlie Parker. And there is a website that's been set up, censurebaker.com. If you would like to get on board, just go to censurebaker.com and sign the petition that he should be censured. As you probably know, he said, I think on January 6th or 7th, that the president should resign. He said he should resign because he had incited the insurrection, or as Chuck Schumer calls it, the erection. And that wasn't true. We know that from court documents now, among other things. And he also said on January 13th that the president should be impeached. And if he didn't incite the riots, what is he exactly being impeached for? But Charlie Parker says this. He's always trying to suck up to the media and to Democrats. And he's such a rhino that Mitt Romney said this to Chris Wallace yesterday on Fox News, cut 14.
What do you think is the key to where your party goes over the next few years?
Well, first, I'd note that there are going to be new faces that are going to be the spokespeople for our party and their own vision. And that could be Larry Hogan. It could be Charlie Baker. It could be Marco Rubio, who's going to be on in the moment, or Ben Sass. So there'll be some new faces.
Except for Rubio, they all hate Trump. And Rubio, he goes both ways, so to speak. But he's okay, basically. The other three, forget about him. Anyway, so you have this. The vote is coming up on Wednesday night. The Republican State Committee, it looks like it's going to vote on whether or not to censure Charlie Baker for demanding the impeachment and the resignation of President Trump. This effort, including the petition, which we just tweeted out a link to it if you're still a follower on Twitter at Howie Carr Show, censurebaker.com, CENSURE, censurebaker.com. And the leader of the effort is Adam Lang. He's a Cape activist in the Republican Party. You may remember him. He was attacked, or his vehicle was attacked in Provincetown last year, and he had to chase down the guy who was vandalizing his vehicle. And he's organized a bunch of Trump rallies, and he's trying to push this. He was a candidate for the state committee, and Baker poured tons and tons of money into the campaign of his opponent, an extinguished, as we say, an ex-state rep by the name of Will Crocker, who's a Baker stooge and rhino. Adam Lang, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Howie, thanks for having me tonight. You know, it's about freezing here on Cape Cod, but most of the towns are in a climate emergency right now, Howie.
A climate emergency.
But hey, the reason I'm calling tonight, and thank you for giving me the opportunity, we stood up a website called censurebaker.com. That's where patriots across the state, and I'm asking patriots to go there, all right, sign the petition. It's very easy, and that's going to be sent to the Massachusetts Republican Party requesting a vote this week to censure the Republican governor of Massachusetts based on, on January 7th, he asked the President of the United States to step down because of the guy with the horns on his head and some other bad actors in D.C. And then he also asked, he's also supporting the second impeachment. And we've had enough, Howie. He's divided this party in our state. We grew tremendous energy on the back of Donald J. Trump in this state in 2020. And we don't want to squander it. We want to keep that momentum going, unite our Republican Party in Massachusetts. And Governor Baker needs to be sent a message by the Republican Party in Massachusetts.
And he's been doing a terrible job. I mean, now even his head cheerleader, the Boston Globe, is talking about Massachusetts lacking behind most other states in COVID-19 vaccination rollout. It's behind every state in New England, New York, most of the states it's behind. We have the #1 death rate in nursing homes, the #3 death rate overall, and unemployment now is skyrocketing back. It's went from 6.7% last month to 7.4% last month, and he can't stop patting himself on the back. What a great job he's doing, and I don't see it. Do you, Adam Lang?
It's amazing he finds the time, Howie, because he's busy fighting climate change. He's taxing our gas, right, to stand up a Beacon Hill arm of the government to fight climate change. He's punishing small businesses. My neighbor's restaurant just went out of business in Boston. And he's also got time to try to continue to divide our Republican Party in our state. It's time we stand up and put an end to it. And we're asking people to go to censurebaker.com tonight, sign the petition. It's very easy. And we're gonna request a vote by our Republican leaders. They need to grow a spine and stand up and take on this governor that's divided our party.
You just put this up. I mentioned it once or twice a couple of hours ago. Are you getting any signatures so far? Or I mean, it's plenty. It just, like I said, it just went up. But are people responding well to it?
We are, Howie, and I'm sure your show tonight. And we thank you so much for letting me come on. I'm going to be on some other radio shows tomorrow. This has got a short fuse, so we need people to spread the word and to send this message.
Okay, so but what's the real point of this? First of all, Adam, Jim Lyons was the chairman of the Republican Party, former state rep. He was just reelected a couple of weeks ago by a very relatively narrow margin. I know Baker spent a lot of time and effort trying to knock him out. But I mean, do you really think you can get a majority of votes on the Republican State Committee to censure the Republican governor? I mean, I know it's kind of it's really delivering him a message. Not so much with the general population, because supposedly his popularity is still high, although I wonder about that. But I think he's got a problem if he seeks to another nomination in the Republican primary. And I think Karen Polito would have a problem if she runs as lieutenant governor. Is that what you're trying to do, is just deliver him a message saying, Charlie, the people of your own alleged party doesn't support you?
Howie, you're absolutely right. Our Republican Party, it's not perfect, but you know what? There's no plan B. There's no replacement. And you've said recently that this third party notion is ridiculous, all right? We need to go in, do the hard work, fix the Republican Party. This is part of it, right? People standing up and demanding to take action when we have a Republican leader that's not holding the line. And Charlie Baker is obviously not holding the line. It's time we send him a message. So I'm hopeful, Howie, that we have enough patriots that are committee men and committee women that'll do the right thing and send our governor a message.
But what is that? All it does, it sends a message. I mean, it doesn't it's not like you're going to cut down his $250,000 a year pay with the housing allowance. You're not going to take away his state police detail. He still gets to appoint judges who give him thousands of dollars in contributions. He still gets to solicit contributions from all these nursing homes where the elderly are dying by the thousands.
Howie, at the end of the day, we're trying to influence our elected officials and our Republicans. There's PACs that groups like mine, United Cape Patriots out on the Cape, we're forming a PAC. Western Republican have forming a PAC. So we're in the business now of influencing our elected officials, getting their attention so they support our conservative principles. And this is one way we're doing it. It's got a short fuse. So if people could go to censurebaker.com tonight and tell your friends and share it on social media, let's try to make this happen.
And it's CENSURE Baker.com. It's not censorbaker.com. It's censure.
I know. As a deplorable, we don't use that word often. So you're right. It's CENSURE, Censure Baker, all one word, .com. And it just, you'll be done in 20 seconds.
Right.
Just go in there and sign.
Yeah, it's not. No one's going to ask for your social security number or your date of birth. It's just sign the thing, and you'll be recorded. And Adam, though, I got to tell you one thing. I could see him going out on Thursday, doing a press conference, and after first taking some bows for the great job he's doing. We're still number 1 in deaths in nursing homes. We're still number 3 in deaths overall in the United States. I could see him saying, I take this censure by the Republican State Committee as a badge of honor. I could see him using those exact words, badge of honor. Couldn't you?
Howard, that would be unfortunate because I talk to people, try to recruit them to the Republican Party, and all they're asking for is a voice. They just want the Republican Party to be their voice, and they'll come out and fight for the Republican Party, but we need to start being their voice when it comes to conservatism in our state. So that's my mission.
All right. Adam Lang, he's leading the charge here to censure Charlie Baker. The vote will be before, to take a vote, the resolution, the motion to take a vote will be before the Republican State Committee on Wednesday night. And we'll be talking to Jeff Deal about this a little bit later on. 844-500-4242. Thank you, Adam Lang. We'll take some calls when we come back. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again. And for just this week only, the Thunderstorm Air Purifier BOGO is back. That's buy one, get one free. Thunderstorm Air Purifier. If you buy one, you get another one for free. It's been months and people still ask me if it really works. Not only does it really work, but it works in hours. Our sales rep came down last week and there was a funky smell at her Airbnb. But it was no match for the Thunderstorm. The mailroom manager lent one of ours to our sales rep, and hours later, the smell was gone. The Eden Air Purifier is so small, you can hold it in your hand. Look at this, as I'm doing right now on social media, and it plugs right into the wall. That's why it was so easy to move. The best part is you don't have to replace any air filters, which of course saves you time and money. BOGO is back for 1 week. Maybe you have one and you know how well it works. Now you might want to get one for your second floor or your basement. Give one to your kid. Give one to a friend. Pet, kitchen, tobacco, or that basement smell. They'll all be gone wherever you put the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. This deal ends on January 31st at midnight. The Thunderstorm sells fast, so don't delay. Shipping is free. I'm Howie Carr.
Keep it here. The captain will be back after this.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Taylor, they're claiming it doesn't work. It works for me.
Like movies about gladiators.
Does it work for you?
Yeah, it works fine. They're probably just spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
When we come back, just tell them to scroll down a little bit. That's where the form is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
a day. Once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beets. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
Watch out, Joe Biden. You might have to share some of the spotlight because your running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, is certainly grabbing some attention for her own gaffes.
She was part of our culture. Yes, we wear those notorious B.I.G. t-shirts with a lot of pride.
Best rapper alive, Tupac. He's not. You say he lives on. Not alive. I know. I keep doing that.
A Harris administration together with Joe Biden as the president of the United States. The Biden-Harris administration. We have got to, in America, reimagine how we are accomplishing public safety. And let's be clear, there is no vaccine for racism.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us. I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
Say what you will about him.
He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English. He doesn't even speak good English.
He's Howie Carr, and he's here to stay.
844-500-4242. Censurebaker.com does work, but you have to scroll down to sign it. You can't sign it by just clicking on the banner at the top. You just scroll down. It's not a huge website. Just go down a little bit and you'll see first name, last name, zip, email. That's all it is. And plenty of people are getting on. Censurebaker.com. 844-500-4242. I want to just play, before we go to the lines, I just want to play Tulsi Gabbard, the former congresswoman from Hawaii. And she's denouncing John Brennan and Adam Schiff for basically saying that they need an investigation of people who disagree with them. Cut 23.
He is the president of this country. He delivered this speech, his voice, himself, speaking to the American people. He needs to denounce people like John Brennan and their statements, bills like the one Adam Schiff put forward, and truly speak to the American people about how we must come together around, the Constitution, around our Bill of Rights, around these rights that have been endowed to us by our Creator.
Boy, she has no future in the Democrat Party. Did you hear that? She endorsed the Bill of Rights. That makes her a seditionist, an insurrectionist. Wow. 844-500-4242. And here's Megyn Kelly. She's also becoming an insurrectionist now that NBC has fired her and gave her a walking away check of what, 20, 30 million bucks. Cut 18.
They hated him so much, they checked their objectivity. And it wasn't just CNN, all of them did. They just couldn't check their own personal feelings about him.
Exactly. Jeff, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, thanks, Howie. Little thing you said earlier about Baker being censored. Yes, he should absolutely be. And I think he should be arrested the way he's wanted to film him. My mother recently died a little less than a month ago. She had a stage 4 cancerous brain tumor that was pressing on her brainstem.
I'm sorry.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Less than 2 weeks before she died, she, all this time in the hospitals and nursing homes, never tested positive. She tested positive. I spoke to nurses at least every other day about her condition. And I asked on purpose every day, is she showing any symptoms of COVID? And the answer was always no, always. The day she died, I talked to him that morning. She didn't show any symptoms. She started doing her when people die, they breathe really quick and rapid hours before they die, and that's
Right.
what she did. They moved her out of quarantine 2 days before the 14th day, so she cleared. I talked to the ambulance driver who picked her up, and he responded as a COVID patient, but they told him she cleared, meaning she was no longer a threat. It's still the primary cause on her death certificate. So the stats are just being screwed with.
I know.
She's no longer a brain tumor sufferer. They only gave her 3 weeks to live, 3 to 4 weeks to live.
I know. Well, look at the CDC's own statistics. That's Dr. Saint Anthony Fauci. 6% of the 400,000 dead had COVID alone. Everybody else had comorbidities. So 6% of 400,000, Jeff, that's 24,000 people dead in a year. 24,000 in a country of 330 million. That's not a large number of people. I'm sorry they're dead, but it's like Larry King with all of his maladies. Some people are saying he died of COVID. I don't know what the actual official death certificate says. Thanks for the call, Jeff. Al, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Al. You there, Al? Nope. Mark, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Howie, how are you?
Good.
I wanted to let you know, I've been, obviously I've been listening to you. I'm 44. I've been listening to you for over 30 years, going back to the days of my father and his yellow Datsun driving down the street. And I've just recently gotten off Facebook. I've gotten off Instagram. I'm just fed up with censorship and the garbage. I'm also afraid that eventually they'll come after, the normal folk too. But my question to you is, are you worried? And I'm in the same thing with Kuhneman in the morning. Are you guys worried that they're going to come after your platform? I know they sort of have been, but aren't you worried that at any moment you could be out of a job as well?
I was worried in 2016 when it looked like Hillary was going to win the election, and I just signed a 5-year lease on my studios in Needham. And yeah, I'm concerned all the time now about everything. But I mean that's why we're trying to put more stuff outside of the mainstream media. I mean, we're trying to, I don't go to New York to sell my books. I publish my own books. We the Herald column, we put that up online. So if something ever happened to the Herald, God forbid, I'd have somewhere to showcase my columns. The show goes out on the stream at howiecarrshow.com. It goes out on YouTube. I know YouTube is Google and all that, but I mean, we're just doing the best we can. I mean, obviously you have to think about it at this point. And we just got to get through this. Everybody's got to get through it. And you're right to be concerned about yourself, even if you're not high profile. You gotta wonder what these people are going to do. And the fact that the Democrats don't care is equally scary. I'm Howie Carr.
Congratulations, New England. You did it. You made it through 2 months of torturous, nonstop, ear-jarring, teeth-clenching, blood pressure-raising radio noise. Those nerve-grating Matthews carols are now just a distant memory, echoing through the canyons of your mind with no sugary aftertaste. But it's a whole new year, and we've come up with whole new ways to annoy you.
I don't know what these people are having a problem with Censure Baker.
Thought were just a distant memory echoing through the canyons of your mind. Well, guess what?
You know me. I just said you have to fix my stuff, and I have no problems getting through this thing.
But they're not the only videos we have out there. We also have videos on such useful topics as understanding condensation, how to properly install one of our windows, and even a video on how to get the sash back into the frame once you've accidentally removed it and there's a storm coming and the factory is closed and your wife is yelling at you to fix it now. We even got one of those. You can learn more about our wicked awesome windows and doors, but only at Better Lumber Yards and Window Professionals or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was.
Most people nowadays, most kids know how to type, right?
Years from
They
the
learn, I mean, don't they learn touch
2016 election,
typing?
Hillary Clinton still can't accept the results. Take a listen.
You can run the best campaign. You can be the person who gets the nomination. you could lose.
Yeah, I remember when I learned to
He
type.
knows
I
he's
mean, there
an
were no
illegitimate
computers, but I
president.
just wanted to learn how to type because I figured it was good. And a lot of people, yeah, I went to an all-boys school, and they said, "Oh, we'll have our secretaries type."
Is that finally we will see how illegitimate
You know,
his victory
learn how to
actually
type. I
was.
wish I
This
knew
wasn't on
shorthand.
level.
Like my mother thought. My
Videos
mother,
that appear
you know,
and
was a
then disappear,
secretary.
and they're
She
on the
wanted.
dark web and nobody can find them. It's like applying for a job and getting 66 million letters of recommendation and losing to a corrupt human tornado. So maybe there does need to be a rematch. I mean, obviously, I can beat him again. So of course he's obsessed with me.
This is going to sound immodest, but I'm obviously a top tier candidate. I've had a lot of titles over my career, and certainly vice president will be great. But Mamala will always be the one that means the most. They said, well, do you think Trump is responsible for what happened? And I said, well, look, I mean, obviously he didn't pull the trigger, but he's certainly been tweeting out the ammunition. And that's why do gotta go. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. You know what, I'm just gonna engage in real talk. I don't wanna waste your time with anything else.
What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh, I mean, I'm hip hop and reggae and jazz. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhaled. I did inhale.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. Buyraycon.com/Howie.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis. They are strictly principled anti-fascists.
No organization is perfect. There was some violence.
Any reasonable person would say we shouldn't be destroying other people's property, but these are not reasonable times.
I argue to you tonight, all punches are not equal morally.
But thank goodness for the looters, man.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do not get it twisted and think that, oh, this is something that has never happened before, and then this is so terrible, and where are we, and these savages and all of that. This is how this country was started.
People get mad and people get sick of it. People are risking COVID to explain to this country that we're fed up.
I tested positive. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid, the rest of us should be staying at home for our mothers and the people that we love. And to keep us farther apart will ultimately bring us closer together in this cause. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. No matter where the virus goes, the way to stop it will always be the same. Our collective conscientious actions. Staying home. Staying home saves lives. I don't want some jack loser, fat tire biker get in my face and in my space and talk to me. I don't want to hear it. All right, here it is. The official re-entry.
So, Taylor, you're going to get that deal, right?
This guy's a...
Yes.
Okay. Can't believe all the trouble people are having with this site.
I don't know. It might not work for some people. Maybe that it's not built to take on the traffic it's getting right now. So keep trying, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Former leader of the KKK. The Ku Klux Klan is the Ku Klux Klan. 8 more years of Donald Trump will change America in a fundamental way. But if Donald Trump is reelected, Freudian slip, and the demagogues around the world, we also have a mechanism to control drug prices. Folks at the folks at Health and the Health Department in the United States, HHS, it would put 720 million women back in the workforce. I never ever thought that I'd see what I saw in Charlotte.
Would you or would you not rejoin the TPP? Yes or no?
I would not rejoin the TTP. Well, they're going out and getting G5 and going to dominate. I mean, what are we doing? The bills that the future president here, that the senator is talking about.
Here at the Howie Carr Radio Network, we're all about saving you money. We want you to cut out
Can
the
I send you
middleman
something to
and
print
buy
out?
direct from our great sponsors. And to help you save, I've put together a cheat sheet. For instance, if you go to EdenPure.com, you'll find the Thunderstorm Air Purifier, and you can save $10 using code Howie. You can also get Eden Pure's Gen 30 heater and save even more money with code Howie Deal. Do you have a dirty, dingy carpet that could use some freshening up? Head over to Genesis950.com, use code Howie, and get a gallon of their cleaner, free shipping, and other goodies with code Howie. Put a little pep in your step with Super Beats. Get more bang for your buck and do some good for your heart by going to superbeatsradio.com/Howie. While you're at it, give your ears a treat too, and listen to your favorite music and podcasts with premium earbuds from Raycon. Get them at buyraycon.com/Howie. And finally, make cooking easier with Hellofresh. They'll send you easy-to-follow recipes and all the ingredients you need. But only
Let's see,
if
can you look at this? I'm not sure how to.
/Howie. Cut out the middleman, save money, and take advantage of these deals now.
Right here.
I've seen a lot of Anchor cupcakes in my day. Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem. And it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes. We're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second, control room? So that's not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
We now have a president who talks like a centrist. Just relax. Find your center. But is governing from the far left. And we're not going to be able to just sit around here in a honeymoon period and watch these things happen. It's important everyone is aware of it, that's the direction it appears we're headed.
There's no earthly way of knowing singing which direction we are going.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Test this, Rachel. I've been wanting to come on your show for months and months. You've been asking me to come on your show.
Get a room, you two.
Unchained and unstoppable.
President Biden is a big ice cream fan. So does that giant freezer full of ice cream really exist? I have not found it.
Then you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles. My name is Joe Biden and I love ice cream.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. That is the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show if you'd like to join us here this afternoon, every weekday afternoon. And we've been talking about the proposal, the motion that's going to be before the Republican State Committee on Wednesday night to censure Charlie Baker for his intemperate attacks on former President Trump, saying that he should resign from office for inciting an insurrection, which he didn't do. And the court documents now prove that. And then suggesting that he should be impeached for, if he didn't incite the insurrection, what should he be impeached for? So the Governor Baker, after his disastrous stewardship of the panic over the last year, including now the rollout of the vaccinations and the decimation of Massachusetts businesses, That's bad enough, but now he's making these irresponsible attacks on the president of the United States. So you can go to censurebaker.com, CENSURE, censurebaker.com. Scroll down when you get there, and you can see where to sign up to get on a petition to ask the Republican State Committee to censure the governor, just to basically criticize him and try to shame him. He's unshameable, of course. But the vote will have to be taken by the 80 members of the Republican State Committee. There's 2 from each Senate district, a male and a female. And the vote will be very close if it comes to it on Wednesday night. And one of the members of the Republican State Committee who we all know is Jeff Deal, former state representative from Whitman. I believe Whitman, and he's also a former Senate candidate against the fake Indian in 2018, and he's on the Republican State Committee along with his wife. She's the female member of the committee from that district. Jeff Deal, what's going on here? What's the point of this motion? Who's behind it? I know Adam Lang says he's behind it. Who else is involved in this?
Well, Adam was I tell you, first of all, I'm going to say, I'm surprised it took this long for something like this to actually come forward. But I will say Adam certainly represents quite a few people across the state that I met from 2016 on who supported President Trump and who have been very frustrated with having a Republican governor who has done, in my opinion, nothing to support the president. And I don't know if, Howie, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Has there been one thing that the president's done that Governor Baker has actually congratulated him on? I actually can't think of it. I mean, peace and prosperity would normally be something that's celebrated by any governor, especially if he's in your own party. I don't recall anything to date that Governor Baker said positive about President Trump.
No, well,
so,
Today, once again, he's his own failings in getting the vaccinations out to the state. It's the worst job in New England, the worst job in the Northeast, and he's blaming the federal government. Now that Biden's president, he won't blame Biden by name. He blames "quote unquote" the federal government. He's alibi Ike, as they used to say. He's very good at pointing the fingers at everybody else. The buck never stops at Charlie Baker's desk. That's for sure.
He was a federalist when Trump was putting out policy, but now it's all the federal government that's to blame when things go wrong for Charlie. I get it. Well, look, I think Adam Lang, like I said, is someone I know who's been incredibly supportive of the president. Adam recently tried to join the state committee. There was a special election, and I know the governor was against him on that. So, not a surprise that there is a group of people out there that want to see kind of like what Arizona did. I mean, I think this is what happened over the weekend, maybe spurred this.
Yeah.
The fact that the Arizona GOP censored 3 of their own Republicans, prominent Republicans in the state. And maybe if Massachusetts does this on Wednesday, you might see more states actually holding elected Republicans accountable for not supporting a president for the last 4 years who's given, the economy the greatest boost it's ever had, as again, not engaged us in any foreign wars, in fact, retracted troops back to the United States. So, truthfully, it's amazing that Republicans were ever against this president, but we've seen Mitt Romney, obviously former governor, now a senator from Utah, do it, and our own current governor has.
And Mitt Romney goes on Fox News Channel and promotes Charlie Parker as a future presidential candidate. Well, birds of a feather flocking together.
There we go. But no, look, what's going to happen is if this petition is successful, if there's enough people, I guess, sign this thing, it'll be presented to the state committee. It'll take one person on state committee to bring it to the floor. I think there's somebody that's been discussed who's going to bring this to the floor and ask for a motion to have it voted on. So we'll see if it's taken up on the floor for a vote, then I'll be able to give you a result. If we don't get a floor vote, but we do get a vote on whether it's taken up, maybe we'll be able to give you that roll call as well. We'll see what happens on Wednesday.
So it's going to be a close vote, though, if it goes to the membership, because Jim Lyons, who's been critical of the governor's lack of support for President Trump, he was narrowly reelected a couple of weeks ago, correct? By only, I think,
Howie,
3 or 4 votes.
There's 27 members of the state committee who currently work in the governor's administration. I think you can count on those 27 votes not going in the way of censure. So what we're hoping is the remainder of the people who aren't beholden to the governor for a job right now actually vote their conscience. If this ends up coming up to a
so I'm just doing
a vote.
I'm doing the math in my head here, Jeff. So if you subtract 27 from the 80, that means there's 53 people left. So the people who want to censure Baker have to then get 41 of the 53 votes to censure the governor.
We actually have two. We have 2 seats that are currently, one is unseated from the 2nd Suffolk, and there was a recent resignation. So that's actually 2 votes less. So subtract 1 from that number you just gave us.
Okay, so
there's
40.
only 78 current members.
So you need 40 then. 40.
Yeah, I believe 40 would do it. That's right.
That's
so. Again, I guess if people want to see a censure, they should go to that website. But look, it's again something that I think has been. It's very obvious that there's a schism with the governor, Republican governor, and the president. And as we've seen, Trump's popularity in Massachusetts has been very high. I think polling put it at well above 85%, closer to 90% approval of Massachusetts registered Republicans. Now, I know that again that doesn't translate to the general election population, the general voters, but within the Republican Party in Massachusetts, I think most people feel that Donald Trump was, delivering on all the promises he put forward when he ran for office. And again, I think it's not surprising you see activists now taking this into their own hands and wanting to see some accountability from the governor.
Why not also censure Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito? She also made equally intemperate comments and statements about the president of the United States when he demanded that the governor demanded that the president be impeached.
Well, maybe that petition gets put forward after this one is done. It's a good point that you make. I guess if I were both the governor and lieutenant governor, I would just implore them to perhaps retract their calls for his resignation, or retract their calls for this second impeachment trial, which, as you've correctly pointed out, is completely unfounded. And by the way, I mean, did they even know, or did they even pay attention to the fact that there was no witnesses called in the House? There was no chance for a defense by the president whatsoever. I don't know how this even actually moves forward to the Senate with any clear conscience. But if it does, again, I would think that the governor has a chance to sort of save himself from censure here by retracting his call for the.
As Buddy Holly would say, Jeff, that'll be the day.
Well, he's got an out. Let's just put it this way: he's got a chance to give himself an out, is my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that's for sure, but I would think that if you retracted it, that would be a very good way to keep the state party from taking this up for a vote.
Is it safe to say that Charlie Parker not only hates Donald Trump, but he hates anybody who supports Donald Trump? I mean, that there's no room in. Shall I describe it as the hackorama for anybody who supports Trump?
Well, let me put it this way. I don't think I got a Christmas card from the baker from Swampscott this year. So I don't know what his true feelings are towards anybody, that does support the president. But it doesn't feel warm and fuzzy from where I sat when I was on Beacon Hill or when I was running for U.S. Senate. And I think, again, Adam Lang represents quite a few people across the state who put themselves out there. And when you talk about Adam Lang, he organized hundreds of standouts. And we're not just talking about in the summer. We're talking about the fall and the winter. He's been diehard, and so have been so many people who supported the president and wanted to make sure that people saw that with the standouts they had all across the state. The boat parades, I mean, things like that. You've really got to look at the activists around Massachusetts and say the Republicans felt president was doing a good job. And again, when you have a governor that can't even recognize the lowest unemployment in 50 years, the highest stock market we've ever had, and at least give the president some kudos, there is a disconnect. And I don't think it's on the part of the people who are Republican voters. I think it's starting at the top.
Are you running for governor next year?
Howie, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that later in the year. I've got, I'm back in the dreaded private sector. I'm enjoying it, and I certainly want to make sure that if I do make that decision, it's gonna take a little while, and certainly my wife is going to be a big part of that decision. So let's talk about that another time.
603 says, how appropriate that Charlie Parker lives in Swamp Scott.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought of that. Anyway, give people the website. And again, you just scroll when you get there. Just scroll down, and you'll see where to sign. It's not a huge website. It's not complicated. But you've got to scroll down a little bit to get there. What's the website?
He hung up.
Oh, he hung up. Okay, the website is censurebaker.com. CENSURE Baker.com. Censurebaker.com. And it works. And if we put a link out, we tweeted out a link earlier. So if you're still on Twitter, and if you're not, I don't blame you. And as soon as Parler comes back, we'll be gone. But if you're still on Twitter, you can just go to the link. Just go to, if you're a follower of mine at Howie Carr Show, you can just get it right there and just get the link. 844-500-4242. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
This hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you in part by Old New England Soap. From bath bombs to candles for her and shave soap for him, Old New England Soap has what you need for Valentine's Day. Order today at oldnesoap.com.
You may have heard that many of the RV and camping shows have been canceled, but don't worry. Cold Springs RV is happy to announce the New England RV Show. This is Howie Carr, and if you're a camper, I've got 2 words of advice for you. Buy early. With the popularity of camping growing and manufacturers' constraints, the earlier you shop, the better. Visit Cold Springs RV in Ware, New Hampshire to make sure you get spring delivery. Go to newenglandrvshow.com to learn about this safe show.
Alexander Hamilton said, "Those who stand for nothing will fall for anything." This is Toby from Cape Gunworks. When our founding fathers drafted the Second Amendment, there was no question of its meaning. Today, if you have questions, come to Cape Gunworks for some advice, training, or to send a few rounds downrange. We have a fully stocked pro shop with a huge selection of guns, crossbows, archery, classes, rentals, 15-lane range, and a friendly staff. Come on down to Cape Gunworks, Airport Road, Hyannis, or capegunworks.com.
They're outlandish, they're outrageous, and they're hypocrites. They're the women of The View.
Bernie was so menschy in that moment, like a real guy. I actually am aroused by him.
Timothy McVeigh was a Christian. Just saying. Hitler was a Christian. Well, he didn't like the Catholics.
Trump needs to be medicated and hospitalized at this point, or he is going to just kill all of us.
I mean, do we have to wait till the hammer and sickle is on the American flag before we stand up to this guy?
Joy, you've worn blackface.
I did not go in blackface, please.
No, she was not in blackface.
Thank you.
It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African woman.
Did you have tanning lotion on,
A little, I had makeup that was a little bit darker than my skin.
I'm hoping Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. She's a hell of a doctor.
Whoopi, if you said that Roman Polanski, it wasn't rape.
I know it wasn't rape.
Child molest, maybe? I'm not sure.
It was something. It was something else, but I don't believe it was rape.
Hair loss is not one of life's more enjoyable experiences. If you're looking to fill in your hairline or reverse years of hair loss, DiStefano Hair Restoration will create a result that will be a transformative experience. The result of my IGT procedure was quite remarkable. I now have fuller, thicker hair so I can even wear it a bit longer. There are a few major decisions I've made in my life that I wish I did sooner. My hair restoration is number one. It was by far one of the best moves I've ever made. My hair looks awesome, and the confidence from having a full head of hair again has left me feeling great. I used to look in the mirror and dreaded seeing my ever-increasing bald spot. Now when I look in the mirror, I see the new me with a full head of thick hair. For information on how to make the same choice I did, go to hairman.com/Howie. What are you waiting for? More hair to fall out? Get the hair you've always wanted. Hairman.com/Howie.
What does the mainstream media really think of you? Banjos, please.
bigots, and racists.
Credulous, rude, tin-toothed, working class, angry, white.
Aging, angry white guy. Angry white man.
Angry white old men.
These angry white men.
The angry white vote. All these angry white people. Too many of them want to see the people who are begging for change put down.
Racist, bigoted base. It's white privilege, it's white nationalism, it's anger, it's rage, it's insult. We tolerate a certain level of racism.
1 in 3 Americans are racist.
The credulous boomer rube demo.
Y'all elitists are dumb.
You elitists with your geography and your maps and your spelling. Even though my
math and your reading.
Yeah, you're reading.
They're too far gone.
Look at them. They're high-fiving each other, and they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and to the Holiday Inn that they're staying at and the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks.
He'll regret it to his dying day, if ever he lives that long.
Howie Carr is back.
Today's Eden Pure poll question is brought to you by the Thunderstorm. BOGO is back for this week only. Buy 1 Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier and get 1 free. That's the sponsor of today's poll question. To order, go to EdenPure.com and put in code word Howie BOGO. Howie BOGO. This is a great deal. 2 for 1. 2 for 1. You can get it's a great product. Taylor, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Would you go to jail for 15 hours to keep your dog?
Yes, I would.
27% say they wouldn't.
844-500-4242. Would they get the rescue cat at the White House? I think they should name it Tara. Don't you? I don't care if it's a boy or a girl, male or female. It should be named Tara. 844-500-4242. Russ, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Russ.
You know, Howie, you and I both know, and other conservatives listening, that Charlie Baker is a true rhino who would love to purge the party leadership of conservatives. And the only way he became governor, the Democrats put up 2 lame candidates against him. And had they put up Steve Grossman instead, he would have never become the governor of Massachusetts.
Well, let me go further. I think he wouldn't have become governor if he hadn't attached himself to the anti-automatic gas tax increase in 2014, which was being run by Jeff Deal, who we just had on. I mean, the anti-gas tax question won by more than 100,000 votes, and Charlie Parker only won by 40,000 votes against the worst candidate in the recent political history of Massachusetts, Marsha Coakley.
But because I gathered over 300 signatures myself.
Right, and he went out there and he said, I'm all in. I want to stop the gas tax increases. And what is he promoting now, Russ? What is he promoting now? He wants to increase the gas taxes without a vote by the people or by the legislature, under the guise of climate change. And they're lying. They're saying, oh, it's only going to be 5 to 9 cents a gallon. Tufts University, hardly a bastion of anti-tax fervor, says it could be as high as 38 cents per gallon. And at the same time, Buttigieg is talking about jacking up the federal gas tax. Russ, I mean, hasn't he done enough damage with all these lockdowns, all these thousands of businesses destroyed? No hacks have lost a single day's pay, and now he says the president should be impeached again. It's intolerable. And you know that Marsha Coakley. Think about Marsha Coakley. If she hadn't been running against Marty Walsh for state rep in Dorchester back in, I think, 1997, he probably wouldn't have a career. He wouldn't have become the mayor. He wouldn't be on the fast track to be Secretary of Labor. He wouldn't have $6.2 million in the bank for his account. Then she runs for Senate against Scott Brown. He's a wicked underdog, but she's such a bad candidate. He gets propelled into the U.S. Senate, at least for a couple of years. Then the Democrats should have won for governor
in 2014, but she was the candidate, and she made it possible for Charlie Parker to get in. You know, if you're a white male now in Massachusetts, it's getting tougher and tougher to be elected to anything, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, unless, of course, you get to run against Marsha Coakley. She propelled the mayor of Boston, the last Republican U.S. senator, and the current Republican governor all into office. 844-500-4242. That's the toll-free question of the Howie Carr Show. When we get back, I want to go over some numbers for you out of the Tax Foundation about what the ban on menthol cigarettes since last June has had on Massachusetts tax revenue. And also probably equally important, what effect it's had on New Hampshire and Rhode Island tobacco tax revenue. You think there's going to be a correlation? I'm Howie Carr. My friends at Eden Pure have done it again. And for just this week, the Thunderstorm Air Purifier BOGO is back. That's buy one Thunderstorm and get another one for free. It's been months and people still ask me if it really works. Not only does it really work, but it works in hours. Our sales rep came down last week and there was a funky smell at the Airbnb, but that was no match for the Thunderstorm. The mailroom manager lent one of ours to her, and hours later, the smell was gone. The Eden Pure Air Purifier is so small you can hold it in your hand and it plugs right into the wall. That's why it was so easy to move. Want a Super Beats? Is that you don't have to replace any air filters, which of course saves you time and money. BOGO is back for 1 week only. Maybe you have one and you know how well it works. Now you may want one for your second floor or your basement. Pet, kitchen, tobacco, or that basement smell. They're all gone with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. Go to EdenPure.com and put in code word HowieBOGO. This deal ends on January 31st at midnight. The Thunderstorm sells fast, so don't delay. Shipping is free.
This is Charlie Baker.
Hey, everybody. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker here.
And these are his friends.
I can't tell you how many times
that's got to go downstairs.
In the past couple of months, somebody I know has told me a story.
In the world of Charlie Baker and his friends, the real world of panicked porn, political leaders cannot survive without absolute power. And the public can't be expected to blindly follow orders without first hearing a made-up story.
Somebody I know has told me a story about how they got it, and it all goes back every single time to some informal gathering where nobody wore masks, nobody kept their distance, and the virus spread.
It's a confusing, nonsensical, follow-the-science world, but it's the only world they know.
I mean, it's pretty common at this point that that's where a big piece of this is coming from.
And they're the only friends Charlie Baker has.
You've been hearing me talk about Super Beats for a while now, and I'm sure some of you are still thinking, why Super Beats? You could take it from me. The benefits of Super Beats are incredible. I take them twice a day, once in the morning when I get up, even before I have my first cup of coffee, and the other time in the afternoon, right before the show. It gives me a burst of energy. It's great for my blood pressure. It's good for circulation. It just makes you feel better. If that doesn't convince you, we can talk about the science behind Super Beats. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow, and better blood flow equals better energy and efficiency throughout the body, and even supports healthy blood pressure. But Super Beets does so much more than eating regular beets and is unparalleled compared to other beet powders. Just one scoop of Super Beets has the nitric oxide equivalent of 3 whole beets. Go to superbeetsradio.com/Howie and try out Super Beets yourself. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie. www.superbeetsradio.com/Howie.
President Trump is clearly, ethically unfit and intellectually unprepared to be the president of the United States. And I support Chairwoman. In the coming weeks, the House will hold hearings of Congresswoman Harris, Senator Harris. He's our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese, they say. So completely inappropriate in so many ways that it's almost a given. It's like a child who comes in with mud on their pants or something. That's the way it is. They're outside playing. That's what it. He comes in with doggy do on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes too. But I only will do that if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of George Kirby's name. This moment of national anguish.
Here's 1 minute with Governor
Charlie Parker in Massachusetts.
I'd certainly put myself on that list. I'm a basketball player. I always was. There's a lot at stake here. This is not a virus to be trifled with or disrespected. Respect the virus. I have a hard time understanding when we're going to be able to play basketball again. We can start talking about a gradual, careful, data-driven, phased reopening. Don't let a few nice days step on that. I need to talk to the Attorney General and find out what the actual parameters of the ruling are. Did this just happen? And the reason I read that story is because I'm a basketball player and I agree. I was first made aware of the discrepancy on this on the day that the registrar resigned. The vast majority, and I mean like the vast majority of the people who are part of these protests are there to make a point and to make it peacefully. That is so obvious, I'm amazed that anybody could say anything other than that. I would love to be able to open everything up tomorrow. That would be an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. That's the toll-free number of the Howie Carr Show. You know, maybe I talk about this too much, but the menthol cigarette ban really bugs me in Massachusetts because it just doesn't make any sense. It's like banning rum, but not gin. Or I guess a better description would be like it's like banning flavored rum, like
banning peppermint schnapps.
Yeah, or Captain Morgan spiced rum. But you can still get regular Bacardi rum, but you can't get the spiced rum. What sense does it make? It makes no sense, and it's costing the state a lot of money. I thought that's what the hackorama was into. You know, I thought that's why that's why they want to raise the gas prices. They say 5 to 9 cents. Tufts University says it could be as high as 38 cents per gallon. But anyway, there's a study out from the Tax Foundation, and it talks about since last June 1st, Massachusetts banned they call it flavored tobacco products. It's mainly menthol cigarettes, which is mainly Newport cigarettes. And even before the ban, Massachusetts cigarette taxes were so high that over a fifth of the cigarettes came from out of state. They were smuggled in or just bought in New Hampshire and driven across the border, mainly New Hampshire and to a lesser degree Rhode Island, not so much Connecticut or Vermont or New York. So Massachusetts, 34% of the cigarettes were menthol 34%, 1/3. And so in the first 6 months of this fiscal year, since the ban went into effect, the sales of cigarettes in the Bay State have declined 24%. 24%. But guess what? In the other states around Massachusetts, sales of cigarettes continue to go up. The increase in sales in the Northeast region, which includes New York State, is most notable in Rhode Island and New Hampshire. Those are the two states that Massachusetts residents would be most likely to go to buy cigarettes, right? So far, in the first 6 months of this fiscal year, the state has lost $50 million in revenues by this virtue signaling that's going on with banning menthol cigarettes. Overall, the Tax Foundation is estimating that the overall loss to the state is going to be $120 million. And it's not like this is helping anyone's public health. It's just forcing them to drive somewhere else to buy the cigarettes. And so you might say it's increasing the carbon footprint of Massachusetts by forcing people to drive to mainly New Hampshire and Rhode Island. And then there's another problem here too, smokeless tobacco, vaping.
According to Massachusetts' own illegal tobacco task force, smokeless tobacco is commonly smuggled into the state due to the state's high excise rates. High? 210%. It's a 210% tax. Because of the flavor ban, this smuggling activity is expected to increase. The available data for FY 2021 through November indicates that legal sale of smokeless tobacco in the state is already down 35%. Gee, with a tax of 210%, I'm surprised it's only down 35%. Bans also impact the large number of small business owners operating vape shops, convenience stores, and gas stations, especially on the border of these other states. Policymakers should not lose sight of the law of unintended consequences as they set tax rates and regulatory regimes for nicotine products. Like you're asking the people at the State House to have any kind of common sense, any kind of economics, wisdom. All in all, says the Tax Foundation, early signs indicate that these bans will not decrease tobacco consumption in the state of Massachusetts. It is not in the interest of Massachusetts to pursue a public health policy that merely sends tax revenue to its neighboring states without improving public health. God, I don't get it. And the thing is, if you're a menthol smoker, and smokers, they're out having a cigarette together during a break in the workplace or something, they talk. Maybe so you say, "What are you doing? You smoke Newports? What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm driving to New Hampshire." "Really? You're driving to New Hampshire? Can you pick me up a couple of cartons of Marlboros?" It's not just going to be. It just encourages smuggling on a general level, not just the particularly affected cigarettes. It's like prohibition increased lawlessness across the board, right? 844-500-4242. Max in Phoenix says, Howie, menthol cigarettes are very popular among African Americans. Couldn't this be considered racist? I've thought about that too. The Tax Foundation story said that Maryland is also, they have a rhino governor, Larry Hogan. We call him Larry Hogan Parker. He's also he wants to run for president, and he's thinking about putting in the menthol ban. Now in Maryland, they have a higher black population than Massachusetts. 55% of the cigarettes sold in Maryland are menthol. 55% compared to 34% in Massachusetts. So, I mean, how is that going to help Maryland? How is that going to help black people in Baltimore if they have to drive to Delaware to get cigarettes? It's ridiculous. Cousin Dave, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Cousin Dave.
Hey, Howie. I think that the menthol ban in Massachusetts might have a lot to do with, and all around, I mean, if they decide to do it across the country, I think it might have to do with the youth, because I believe that the youth as a whole, when they start smoking, if you pay attention, a lot of them go towards menthol cigarettes because of today's hip hop world, the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
People who are smoking are using menthols and Newports and stuff like that. I really think that it has something to do with that, and also absolutely has to do with getting to the people that are in the African American population, because they do spend more money on Newports than any other race. So I mean, I think that it's an attack on. I mean, if you pay attention to even what they're talking about the vaccines, they want to get all African Americans vaccinated first. I don't know, man. I think we really need to start questioning the people that are saying this stuff. Well, really, I mean, why?
I don't understand this thing about trying to get blacks vaccinated first. The polls I've seen say that blacks are less likely to get the vaccine than white people, right? They don't want to get the vaccine. Do you want to force them to get the vaccine? How does that work? You can't force. I don't care what the Democrats say. You can't force anybody of any race to get a vaccine.
No, I know, but they're trying to push it to the African American community first. They specifically said that on a few different news stations. I'm sure you've heard of it. So, I mean, why are they pushing this? Why are they pushing the vaccine to the African American communities? And why are they targeting the African American community through menthol cigarettes? Why are they targeting the African American community? That's the question that needs to be answered.
I don't know the answer to it. I don't know. All I know is, I don't understand the travel ban. I mentioned this earlier today. So they're basically getting ready to welcome in all these illegal aliens from the southern border, and these communities, these countries, according to testing, are more likely to be COVID-19 positive than Americans. So they're going to be welcomed into the country, even though they have no jobs, no prospects, no language skills, nothing, except they're just going to be wards of the state. They're going to be welcomed in. But Biden wants to shut off travel from European countries, Brazil, and later on South Africa. How's that going to work? So these are going to be people that want to come into the country, are going to have money, and they're going to be turned away. But you're going to welcome in people who are indigent, who, if current levels are continued of welfare dependence, at least 3/4 of them are going to be on welfare. 844-500-4242, 978. The flavored tobacco ban was just put in place to increase the miles people drive so they can get more gas tax. I hadn't even thought about that. You may be onto something. 844-500-4242, 919. I can make $10 to $15 a carton if I bring cigarettes up to my friends in Massachusetts. That's 919 is a North Carolina zip code. I've said before, when I was in college in North Carolina, I would, if whatever money I had left at the end of a semester, I would just buy cigarettes and just throw them in the trunk of my, at the time, most of the time I had a 59 Impala, so I had a lot of room. And I'd bring as many cartons up as I could, and people would pay a lot more money than I paid in North Carolina because there was no sales tax on cigarettes back in those days, and they would be happy. They would love it because even if I charge them like an extra $5 a carton at the time, which was a lot, they're still saving more than $5 a carton. 844-500-4242, making money and making friends at the same time. That's a good way to be coming back to the old home state from the Tar Heel state. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Howie, they like to say that teenagers begin smoking with menthol cigarettes, but according to the Centers for Disease Control, the teenage smoking rate is the lowest it's ever been since 1965 when they started taking these statistics. So that's completely bogus.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's just virtue signaling, Steve. I don't think there's much thought behind it.
Howie, it's one step closer to total prohibition, which is their ultimate goal. So in that sense, it does make sense because they want to ban tobacco altogether.
Mm-hmm. Why does Massachusetts always have to be the first state in these dreadful experiments? You know?
Well, we like to, we're a progressive state. What can we ban next? That's the question.
Right. So we ban menthol cigarettes because we care about public health, and we're a health conscious state, and we have the best public health system in America. So why aren't they getting the vaccinations out, Steve? If this is such a state that is so concerned about public health and is so proficient at it.
It's easier to ban things than to supply things to people what they really need.
Right. And again, I keep coming back to the statement. I think Chris Plant came up with it first, but maybe not. He said liberals want to ban everything that's not mandatory. So it's either prohibited or mandatory. So now menthol cigarettes are prohibited. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
You might want to keep a close eye on your fried clams. Howie Carr returns after this.
Yum, yum, yum.
If you're thinking of replacing your carpets due to pet stains and odors, you must try Genesis 950. Genesis 950 was my go-to product for Mr. Gooner. The reviews are amazing as this is one product that actually works. With water, it breaks down the bonds of stains so they're gone for good. Its antibacterial component removes pet odors from carpet and padding. It can be used in a carpet cleaning machine. Genesis 950 is made here in America. It's a concentrate, so 1 gallon makes up to 7 gallons of cleaner. But Genesis 950 is not just for pet stains. I brought it to my daughter Carolyn's new home, and she loved the results. Use it in kitchens, on floors, upholstery, and on grease stains. Consider trying Genesis 950 before purchasing new carpets. It's green, so it's safe for your family and pets. Genesis 950 has great customer service. Order 1 gallon direct at genesis950.com to receive a free spray bottle, free shipping, and a $10 coupon using code Howie. Coupon only available on purchase of 1 gallon. That's genesis950.com. Genesis 950, much cheaper than replacing your carpets.
Whether it's global warming, global cooling, or climate change, one thing's for certain, the progressive moonbats can't stop talking about it.
We're talking about cities all over the world, major cities going underwater.
You know, I've spent a lot of time now with these young students, and they're scared. And a lot of young people are even suffering from, they're calling it extinction illness.
So that we can have people here who truly are committed to climate change, believe in climate change as though it's a religion, it's not a science.
A woman whose dreams of motherhood now taste bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
That curing cancer is going to be much more difficult when there's so much climate change and pollutants in the environment, because a lot of cancer is environmentally caused.
Recognizing and acknowledging the link between animal agriculture and climate change is a very bold move, making tonight plant-based.
Now's the perfect time to get a pair of premium wireless earbuds, and Raycon is the way to go. Raycon start at about half the price of other premium brands on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's everyday E25 earbuds are their best model yet. You get 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Perfect for conference calls, video chats, or binging podcasts. Raycon was founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Cardi B and J.R. Smith have already given Raycons their seal of approval. I love my Raycons, and Grace loves hers, too.
Howie, I love my Raycons. Best birthday gift ever.
I listen to much better music than she does, though.
Hey, that's not true.
Now it's your turn to see what the hype is all about. Go to buyraycon.com/Howie. That's buyraycon.com/Howie. buyraycon.com/Howie.
Joe Biden's plagiarizing prowess proves one thing: he's been stealing all his life.
Let us pledge that our generation of Americans will pay any price.
We shall pay any price,
Bear any burden.
bear any burden,
Accept any challenge and meet any hardship.
meet any hardship,
To secure the blessings of prosperity and the promise of opportunity for our children.
to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
But this standard is not a measure of how we can evaluate the condition of our society. Cannot measure the health of our children.
If the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children,
The quality of our education.
the quality of their education,
The joy of their play.
or the joy of their play,
Come on, man.
Leave the gun. Technical only.
The Howie Carr Show.
603 says, New Hampshire loves Charlie Parker, especially the southern border communities, as long as he stays down there. Yeah. They'll love him even more if he gets through this tripling of the gas tax, according to Tufts University. 413, masks care so much about your health, they banned menthol cigarettes, but now it's okay for your 16-year-old daughter to be provided with an abortion without your knowledge or permission. Yeah, I know. 844-500-4242. I want to play at least one of these cuts from Rand Paul and George Stephanopoulos yesterday. We'll take a couple more calls. I want to play one cut here. Cut cut one. This is Senator Rand Paul responding to George Stephanopoulos, the Democrat operative with a press pass about the election being stolen.
This election was not stolen. Do you accept that fact?
Well, what I would say is that the debate over whether or not there was fraud should occur. We never had any presentation in court where we actually looked at the evidence. Most of the cases were thrown out for lack of standing, which is a procedural way of not actually hearing the question. There were several states in which the law was changed by the Secretary of State and not the state legislature. To me, those are clearly unconstitutional. And I think there's still a chance that those actually do finally work their way up to the Supreme Court. Courts traditionally and historically don't like to hear election questions. But yes, were there people who voted twice? Were there dead people who voted? Were there illegal aliens who voted? Yes, and we should get to the bottom of it.
Exactly. Melissa, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Melissa.
Hi, Howie. I just want to say I'm a big fan. And speaking of the smoking, I find it disgusting that the state legalized marijuana, but they make it illegal to smoke menthol cigarettes or flavored vape cigarettes, saying that that targets the young. And as the comment that you made as well about the alcohol, flavored alcohol is okay. Doesn't that target the young as well?
You know, it does. I hadn't even thought about that, but it's so true. I mean, yeah, people, kids like to drink sweet liquors. Although, you know, when I started smoking, I didn't. I wanted to be a tough guy, Melissa. You know, like I think that's what most hairy high schools do. I smoked Camels and Luckies, but I did switch over to menthols for a while. But it's just crazy. It makes no sense, and it's not working. It's on any level. Thanks for the call, Melissa. Cecilia, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Cecilia.
Hi, make this quick. I read the report about the menthol cigarettes, and the reason why they had banned them was because of the drawing. You know how you draw in tobacco when you take, when you smoke,
right?
And it was bad for your lungs.
Well, of course.
And my gripe about, right, and because there's no difference between a menthol and a regular cigarette except for the mint leaf, which is a natural herb, right? But the thing of it is, if they're so worried about that, then how come they didn't ban marijuana cigarettes, which people breathe in so deep?
I know,
right?
And they hold it in. They don't blow it out. They hold it in to get the THC, right? But that's okay. That's okay. You know what? There's a 25% tax on marijuana. I mean, that's not as much as the vaping products, but at 25, when the voters, I didn't vote for it. When the voters passed the legalization of marijuana, it was a 12.5% tax, and the state legislature and Charlie Parker wouldn't let it go through until they doubled the tax to 25%. And so you still have people bootlegging marijuana in or growing their own because the prices are so damn high. Thanks for the call, Cecilia. And they say that some of the popular non-menthol cigarettes are treated with chemicals that may hurt you long term more than even the tar in the tobacco products. Steve, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Howie, I just wanted to remind everyone that the Obama-Biden administration imposed a 1,278% tax increase on rolling tobacco after promising that they wouldn't raise taxes on the poor.
Right.
I don't know how many rich people are rolling their own, but I don't think that was directed at anyone but somebody trying to save money.
I don't even know anyone who uses rolling tobacco. I mean, I've seen it in movies, but I've never seen anyone actually using tobacco and rolling the tobacco cigarettes. Yeah, they see smokers and drivers. They see us as people who can't say no and have no alternative, so they can just come after us with gas taxes or tolls, or jacking up the tax on cigarettes, or the tax on alcohol too. Remember when they tried to? They already have an excise tax on alcohol, then they tried to put a sales tax on the excise tax, a double tax on alcohol products in Massachusetts. That was voted out by the electorate. We'll be back. I'm Howie Carr.
Several years ago, we here at Matthews Brothers launched the website